All right, welcome to the Sae Bae Cast number 34 with Faux. Faux,
What's going on, dude?
I've already mentioned it on the Twitter, but absolute privilege to have you on. If we're talking numbers wise, you're the biggest guest I've had on the cast so far. So this is going to be a real treat for me. Just really cool how it kind of started. Feeble Me, for those that know, he just sent a little message on one of Paul's threads about what was it? Was it like just the summer summit and stuff? Can't even
I,
remember.
I I think so. I think it was something update related.
Yeah, and so he just said, "When are you going to come on a Sae Bae Cast?" And honestly, people sometimes do that in my stream. Like viewers of my stream will go and like ask people, "Just when are you going to be
Uh-huh.
on the Sae Bae Cast?" I'm like, "Oh God!" Like, but yeah, this one. I guess it was good. You sounded pretty excited, to be honest. So
Is he modded already? Because if not, you should mod him.
all right, if Feeble Me is in here during the cast, he'll get a mod.
But
But
yeah, it's great to be here, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
yeah, no, it's my pleasure, man. So yeah, I want to get to know about you a little bit more. I've watched you, like I said in the tweet, for over 5 years now, and let me think, Mr. Mammal, MMORPG, Bodhi, just all the giants of the OSRS section. I seem to have all followed around the same time when I first joined Twitch. And so
Nice.
you guys are like the legends in my book. So I want to hear it. I don't even know where to start. Like, when did you get into streaming? When did you get into old school RuneScape? Did it all happen at once? What is your history with the game? Let's just kind of go through
Yeah,
it if you want.
yeah, sure. Those are good questions. So RuneScape. I grew up like I think most people playing RuneScape from a really young age. I think I was 12 when I started. That's like 2002. So I've been in RuneScape for a very long time, probably longer than some of the people that listen to this podcast have been born or have been alive, right?
Yeah.
I'm rolling on like 19 years of RuneScape now,
Jesus.
which is huge. But so I started in RuneScape Classic, and I played it nonstop with both of my brothers, and played for a long time. Played until about 2007, 2008. They took away free trade in the wilderness, and I actually quit the game around then. I left. I went and played WoW for a while. Joined the military, played a little bit, dabbled during that time, but I didn't play too much. And then when I got out of the military in 2013, it was like January 2013. I started playing WoW again, and then I was like, let's go see what's going on with RuneScape. So I went to the website, and that day was the day that Old School RuneScape was released. And I had no idea that they were doing anything like Old School RuneScape. So I was like, mind blown. It was released like an hour before I checked, so I like instantly went and bought membership. And so I've been playing Old School specifically since day one. Since that morning, I actually called my younger brother and I was like, "Hey man, we got to play this." He's like, I'm kind of broke. I'm in college. I'm like, "I'll buy your membership. Let's play. Let's just have a good time, like the good old days, right?"
Yeah.
And then like 4 days into us playing it, he was into streaming a little bit on WoW, and he knew what to do. And I had watched some streams for the last year or so, but I'd never tried it. And he's like, "Yo, you should try to get into this. I think you'd enjoy it. You've got a lot of experiences from your time in the military and whatever else, and you just like talking to people. So how about I set this up for you and you just see if you like it." So like within the first week of me playing Old School, I started streaming it, and it kind of cascaded from there. I actually got extremely lucky with my start in that I had what I believe to be the first Visage drop in the game, and
Wow.
I was live during that time. So like my stream over the first few days was averaging like what 40, 50 viewers maybe. And that's big for like beginning of a stream because
Yeah.
Old School is just so popular then. And then I got that drop and I instantly shot to like 800, like towards the top of the category. And I think that's really like, if that catalyst didn't happen, I don't know if I'd be here today.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that little, I saw just a topic on the Twitter talking about that Visage drop. So that really meant a lot.
Yeah, I really think back sometimes because it's a measure of luck with Twitch. I think that's definitely part of the recipe to become anything on Twitch. You have to have some factor of luck in there. It's hard to break
Absolutely.
through, and if that didn't happen, like I have no idea, man.
So what? Uh, So you starting out, like how was Twitch at the time? Because I'm assuming it was Twitch. I don't know when the switch from Justin TV to Twitch was.
Yeah, so it was Twitch then. I want to say the Switch was maybe a couple years before that. There weren't a ton of broadcasters on RuneScape Twitch at the time. I remember Bodhi was streaming around then. Alfie and Emily had been streaming for about a year or two before that because they did like flowering in RuneScape and they used to stream that, I think. Uh, I remember there were a lot of like new broadcasters around that time, but it was it was different than it is today. The chat activity seemed to be more active then, right when Old School was released. I mean, it was new and exciting, so I think that has a lot to do with it. Uh, Twitch was less emote based. I mean, Kappa was basically the only thing that people would spam, and it was very like meme song based back then as well. Like everyone had like
Yeah.
the same music that they would go to, and you'd get like 20 minutes in a stream of people playing Darude Sandstorm and like not saying a thing, just Darude pumping and like the whole chat's just going wild. It was fun back then. It was different though.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm sad because I started watching Twitch in 2015. So
Yeah.
like all those meme songs, like people will like what's that one meme song?
You still came in during like the Ameno stage though.
Yeah, I did. There were a few things that I just never understood
Hmm.
though, that I still just can't ever understand, but
Emotional Titanic flute, all those great ones.
yeah. So what was streaming fun to you? Like
Oh, it's
because
always been fun, man.
there are people that just like, would love to stream, but then they start doing it and they realize it's not really for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it helped that I didn't get into streaming to try to make a career or a job or anything out of it. I got out of the military to go back to college, and I was a student at the time, and I had the post 9/11 GI Bill that basically paid for my school, paid for my housing. I didn't really have any, struggles with finances or anything like that. I didn't get into stream to make money, so like I for the first probably half year that I streamed, it was just for fun. I just toss up my stream for a few hours a day and just chill with some people and then built a little community. Um, so like, it was just it didn't seem like a hassle or anything like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. So at what point did you get like how far down the line did you get to the point where you realized you could probably make this your career?
Um, I mean that would have been years. Like I think I've finally maybe in the summer. I think RuneScape Old School came out in February. In the summer sometime that year, 2013, I ended up finally putting like a donation button on my channel. Um, and even that I didn't really push much, but I did have people that supported with that. I think a lot of the times when people donated then, I'd go take that money and I'd buy beer and then I'd do a drunk stream. Um, but I stepped away from Old School that first year because like that fall was my first full-time semester in college after my time in the military. So I wanted to get away from RuneScape and Twitch and everything. I didn't want to have any distractions. I wanted to make sure I got my education started well.
Mm,
I've always kind of given my education a really high priority in my life. So I didn't want any distractions. So I quit for like 3 or 4 months. When I came back was like November maybe, and in December I got partnered and got a sub button. And I think that's kind of when I realized like, hey, maybe I could make something of this. So it would have been late that first year. So I mean, it took some time to build up. I think it was a lot harder back then to get partnered. I think the average concurrent viewership you needed was like 800. So I was kind of mind blown that I even got accepted to it.
yeah, that's what I had heard back, and I think even like in 2014 or 2015, even it was like 500 for partner,
Yeah, yeah,
and you didn't even get a sub button. So all I know
right.
is that affiliates get sub button, affiliates get emotes, affiliates basically get everything that a partner gets, except just
Yeah,
at a lesser degree. So
yeah. I
how?
got lucky, I think, because I got my sub in like 4 days. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're
Like four
good.
days after I got partnership, and I don't know if that was just because I was very cool with some of the people that were in that department at Twitch or what. I think there's probably a certain level of who that had to do with that, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
So how was the, I guess, financial aspect of it before a sub button? Was it all donation based? Because there was no sub gifting, there was no bits, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think even probably the first year or two that people started getting sub buttons, as far as like what you made from streaming, it was probably 70-80% donations, even with sub button.
Yeah.
And I think Twitch has done a good job capitalizing, and I say good job, I don't like it, but I think they've done a good job capitalizing that market and kind of, getting in with bits and everything else and really taking that market share away from just the regular, donation system so they can get their piece of the pie.
Yeah.
Which I don't like it because it's obviously a large amount that's taken away from the creators and, put into the pockets of Twitch. But at the same time, I'm grateful because without Twitch, I wouldn't be here.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So about a year until you kind of started really focusing on it. Did you do school after that during like Twitch or anything, or was it just Twitch at that point?
Yeah. So I that 2013 I started my degree and I stayed a full-time student including summer classes and everything else until I graduated, and I graduated with my bachelor's degree in the summer of 2016, and that's when I actually went full-time on Twitch. Up until then I was only streaming about 20 or 30 hours a week, so I really did not make my focus Twitch until after I got my degree.
Okay. Yeah, so a lot of times I guess nowadays, I don't know, it's so different. Like Twitch culture is so different from then and now, because I feel like it was more I don't know. I would say Twitch is still pretty lopsided with like, the top 1% get the most amount of viewers obviously, and then, or the majority I should say, and then the like 99% below it basically shares the other half. But yeah, okay, so interesting. And then how did you feel about when affiliates started getting everything that partners get? Because I do remember when that was happening, a lot of partners that felt like they like had to put their blood, sweat, and tears into this. Now they're kind of just giving it out for free. Did you have any feelings toward that?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I think people that are trying to make something out of Twitch, that's a really good way for them to get into it and get that opportunity. All it is really bringing more people into, the same market, which as far as, competition goes, that should make you as an individual want to try harder and put more effort in, right?
Yep.
So like overall, it should raise the quality of everyone's content. So I think it's a good thing. I know there are some people that, were kind of unhappy with that about, oh, they're taking my subs or whatever else. Like if they're taking your subs, either you're not entertaining enough or you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see no problem with it.
So I want to hear about your military experience, or anything that you do feel comfortable sharing. Just how did that translate from living a more military life and then, focusing on education and stuff? Like how was that shift of doing all that into just playing video games? Well, that's what people say, is just playing video games. Obviously, it's a lot more than that. But like, and I also want to hear about kind of the social interactions. Like, how did your friends see it? And maybe your parents.
Yeah, okay. Well, as far as the military aspect goes, I mean, I think that's a question I get a lot. Does like my experience in the military translate to what I do today? And I think kind of all of our experiences, we kind of, build off of all of what we take in. So obviously I can apply my military stuff to anything that I do. I can't say that I can sit here and grind so much better than everyone else because I was in the military and I was forced to do things for, however many hours per day. Because you guys know me, I'm terrible at grinding. But I mean, I think it helps in terms of, structure, routine, and discipline. I think that's the main things that I kind of apply from my military to my streaming life, where like I like having the same exact routine every day. I wake up at the same time, I work out, I have my coffee, I sit here and I stream for 8 hours or 9 hours or whatever else. I do the same thing every day, and that's very normal to me. And I think, building a routine like that is really helpful with streaming. As far as like my friends and whatever, I think I'm like most gamers, at least most RuneScape players. I didn't really share a lot that I play RuneScape with people. Like when I was young, when I was in the military, I had some friends in the military that knew I played, and they played RuneScape and WoW and whatever else. And there's actually a large amount of gamers in the military. I'd say 90% of the people that I knew in the military played some sort of video games all the time, like
Wow.
insane hours. And actually, I think 4 or 5 people that I served with have actually found my stream over the last few years, and just randomly dropped me a DM or a message in the chat. I've got one guy that I was stationed with. That was one of my soldiers for a long time, and he comes around like every week, and he's like, "Hey, it's me. Just seeing how you're doing."
Wow.
He outranks me now, which is wild because he was just a little private back then. But
Wow.
and then my parents, my mom has supported my stream since day one. I think she probably has cumulatively more hours watched on my stream than anyone else. And you guys don't know who she is. I don't share her Twitch username or anything like that.
Nobody's
But
found out.
no one's found out. And I just like to have that separation, and
That's
she
good.
understands that.
Yeah.
My dad doesn't really understand it. But I mean, I think that's just a culture thing. My dad's Greek. He was born in Greece. He understands the internet. He does not use the internet. So obviously he doesn't sit there and watch video game streamers on Twitch.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've explained it to him multiple times, and he's just happy that I'm successful. I think that's how he sees it. All he's ever wanted was for me to be successful.
That's awesome. See, that's like the opposite of me. My mom, I feel like, is the one that doesn't understand what's going on. But my dad has supported my stream since day one. Even though he didn't want me to stream, he wanted me to go like finish school, finish everything. I basically was like, just let me have this. I'm single. I'm young. Just and he's supported it. So it's kind of interesting.
That's great.
So yeah, I guess if you're totally cool talking about it, I'm just curious myself. How did you meet Anne? Was that before or after streaming?
Yeah, so that was after I became a streamer.
Okay.
My younger brother introduced us. He was a student at University of Texas, and that's where she went to school. And they knew each other. They were in the same friends group. I think he was dating one of her friends at the time, and he introduced us. I think I went to go like spend his birthday with, like his 21st birthday or something like that with him. And she ended up being in the same group of friends that time. So I kind of hit it off with her, and I think there was pretty immediate attraction there, but she was a little unwilling to give me too much attention. We talked for a good amount of months, just randomly here and there, kind of just kept in contact. It wasn't until about maybe 8 months later or something that we started dating.
Okay. Wow. So there's hope for the streamers, There's hope.
There's always hope. She had no idea that I streamed.
Really?
And I didn't tell her. Actually, no, literally like 5 months into us dating, I finally...
No.
Actually, no, it was longer than that. It was over half a year after we started dating that, I was hanging out with her, and I sat her down, and I was like, look, okay, I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to show you what I do. This is what I do, multiple times a week, 5, 6 times a week, She thought, I'm just a student, right? Or that was my idea. But she just thinks that, I'm focusing on school or whatever else. Turns out, when I pulled up Twitch, first off, I showed her a past broadcast of mine, and showed her, okay, like I play video games with an audience, and I kind of explain what I'm doing, and and she looks at me like blank face, and she goes, so you're like a cam girl? Oh God, no. So like I like start stuttering over everything. I'm trying to explain it better, and she looks at me and she goes, yeah, your brother told me about this like 4 months ago. So apparently my younger brother like completely leaked it, and I had no idea for like months and months. She knew that I did this, and I was like keeping it from her or whatever.
Oh my God.
It was really awkward.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah.
That's funny though. Like wow. I'm surprised you never brought that up like beforehand. So I mean, we're all gamers. We all kind of like understand that kind of like, this isn't like a social norm to stream in front of your computer playing video games. Right. But
see, but I mean, I think it was easier because like that was around that time that I didn't really do it for a job or anything like that. So it just seemed like something I did on the side for fun. So it was like, I probably wouldn't tell her like, oh yeah, I spent all my time playing or watching football, or whatever else, because she's not as interested in it. Yeah. So I figured it wasn't one of those things that she would be interested in. So I didn't really, divulge too much.
Yeah, no, for sure. I totally.
In hindsight, I probably should have said more.
No, I totally understand because, like bringing this up to, especially like the first couple of years you're starting where you're not, you're not really sure where it's going. That's like the biggest issue is like when you're not sure where it's going, and you could just kind of stop at any time. You never feel like it's a permanent thing. I definitely wasn't telling all my friends. In fact, I still hardly tell my like past IRL friends about it. If they find it's really weird, and you were just saying that like your military friends would come in. It's really weird when you have somebody you knew from your previous life come into your stream and you're like, I wonder how like different I am, or like how they see. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Sometimes,
was reading something about this recently, but it made a lot of sense. Everyone that you've met has a different idea of you in their mind, even from what you think of yourself, right? Because like, everyone that sees you is only exposed to a little aspect of you, or they see a certain way that you behave at that one given time.
wow,
So
yeah,
if you think about it that way, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah. No, that's weird. Actually, sometimes I don't even know if I recognize. I don't think I'd recognize myself, honestly. Have you ever heard that thing where like if you were to see yourself, like a clone version of
Hmm.
yourself, you wouldn't be able to recognize yourself?
Yeah, I believe it.
I don't know if that's like fully true. I feel like I'd look weird, but like, yeah, no, that's weird. But it is always strange when somebody comes in, especially. I always feel the need now if somebody that I do know comes into my stream, I have to basically like pull them aside afterward and be like, please don't dox me. Please don't tell me like, don't tell everybody about my, siblings or this or what school, elementary school I went to. So they seem
Yeah.
people. I don't know if you had those kind of incidences, but I feel like when people would come into my stream, I had one friend that came in a year ago. He had friends that stream, but for them it was like streaming to 5 people IRL, like basically like
Hmm.
streaming to his 5 IRL friends. So you could say whatever you wanted, any jokes, any inside jokes. But for me, it's like taking this a bit more seriously.
I
So
think it's good to have that separation,
yeah, wow. So now you've been full time for almost 5 years.
something like that. Yeah.
And how is your life? Um, was there a plan before getting into streaming that you kind of saw your life taking?
There was. And I mean, I think at the time, like I was studying kinesiology, which is, exercise science. Um, and I had the intention to just get my degree and actually go back into the Army as an officer. And it's actually something that I still considered even when I graduated in 2016, even though I had, kind of more or less made it with streaming. I still went and talked to the recruiters and all the rest. And I think I sat down with Anne at the time. We were engaged, and we kind of talked about like where we wanted to go with our lives, and made the decision that we didn't want to constantly move around and kind of have that unstable, uh, home situation. So I actually decided against going back into the Army at that time. So, I mean, I had, a plan before I started streaming, and that continued to be my plan even while I was streaming. But it took some, it took a lot of thought to, try to figure out what am I going to do long term. And, because there's obviously there's not a lot of job security, or there's not a lot of, just you don't really know where you're going with streaming. Anything can happen at any time. I could be banned on Twitch tomorrow. Twitch could shut down 2 days from now. There's no
Yep.
long term with this. So I was very nervous about getting into it, you know, for a guaranteed, this is what I'm going to do for the next, however many years. Because that's hard. And that's a lot of the reason I decided to still get my degree, even though I was doing well with streaming, was I always wanted to have something to fall back on
Yeah.
in case streaming, for whatever reason, didn't work out. I've been very fortunate to still be here today and still have at least a few people that are interested in watching my content. But I mean, who knows? Like, where we'll be a year or two from now,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely something that I feel like a lot of streamers worry about when they start putting at least a lot of streamers kind of put all their eggs in one basket. They
Yeah.
tend to kind of diversify with like different platforms like YouTube and stuff, but at the end of
Mhm.
the day, it's usually a large portion of the money's coming from Twitch. So if Twitch were to shut down, what happens then?
Yeah, it's a scary prospect, and I mean, I think at least to a lot of streamers out there that are thinking about going long term, at least have a backup plan. I think that's a smart thing, because like you said, I don't think it's a good idea to put all your eggs in one basket, because you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay, before we start getting into some RuneScape topics, and especially was it Summer Summit? Now I'm
Summer
questioning
Summit,
myself.
that's it.
Okay. Before we get into all that, I want to ask one more kind of IRL thing, and that is fitness.
Okay.
When did you get into fitness? Have you always been just kind of into exercising as a child, or
Oh no. Oh no.
I want to
Uh,
hear it because I am definitely I have a lot of interest in fitness. I used to work out in college and stuff. I fall out of the habit here and there. I don't have any like drilled in plan of exercising
mhm.
every morning and stuff. But I would love to hear it from you and what has worked for you.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm really trying to avoid going back to, army over and over and over, but like that's really where my fitness journey began. When I joined the military at 19, I weighed 135 pounds. I was tiny, right? I wasn't into fitness. I didn't really do any running, anything like that. When I guess after my first year in, I went from about 135 to about 170.
Wow.
And that's kind of what opened my eyes to like, oh, all this takes is a little bit of effort. Obviously, I was kind of, not forced, but I was pushed to do so much physically that naturally over time I just kind of started putting on muscle mass. But yeah, so maybe about 8 months into my service time, I realized, hey, this is a change that I can actually make with my body, and I started taking a higher interest in that. So I started going to the gym, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a week. And, after about 6 months of that, I just never wanted to get away from it. My day didn't feel normal if I didn't get a workout in. So it kind of shifted from being something that I was somewhat interested in to being something that, if I didn't do it that day, my day didn't feel right. So I just kind of just needed it in my routine. And then I got interested in bodybuilding for a long time, and started that for a while. I think at my peak I got up to about 210 pounds. So that was a big difference from where I started at 135,
Yeah.
and that took a few years. And then kind of the opposite. Ever since I started streaming old school, that's kind of gone downhill. So there seems to be like an inversely proportionate, deal where the more I play old school RuneScape, the less I weigh. I'm kind of working the wrong way. I think I need to stop playing old school so much, maybe. But
Yeah.
hey, I mean, I love fitness. I try to get as many people into it as I can. I think it's a very healthy thing, long term for your body. There's a lot of studies that show that the more resistance training you do, the healthier bones you have. As you get older, you start losing that bone mass, and keeping resistance training up keeps that bone activity building. So that's important. Muscle growth is important. I think cardiovascular health is very important. Uh, I want to be here for a long time,
Yeah.
and I don't want my health to be a factor, or rather, I don't want negative health aspects to be a factor in what doesn't keep me on this earth for a long time. So, I do what I can just to stay healthy at this point. I'm not so interested in bodybuilding or anything like that now. I just like to work out to stay in shape.
That's a good mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say the times I am working out are the times I can actually grind on RuneScape the longest because I have just way more focus and just clear headed. I'm not like depressed. I don't have that like depressing cloud of like, oh, like I'm eating chips and stuff. It's like, no, I had a healthy breakfast, worked out. Now I can just focus on, whatever I'm doing, whether that be gaming or
It
not.
makes you feel good, man.
It makes you feel amazing. It's
Hmm.
crazy. It it's actually crazy how it's like a drug. It's actually like the best drug you could ever take, pretty much, is
Yeah,
this
I agree, man.
just actual natural exercise. And so, yeah, I'm just you're an inspiration to me, believe it or not, even though, and I believe a lot of other people probably are as well, as little as I talk about it or others might talk about it, or even mention it. But the gamers I see that live an active lifestyle is really motivating to me.
I don't understand it, but in the old school category, there seems to be like a disproportionate amount of people that are like so interested in fitness. You see it with the streamers for sure. I don't know if you've looked at the rest of Twitch or like a lot of gaming categories, but old school streamers, like for the most part, are super super fit, super interested in staying fit and kind of living an active lifestyle. I actually love it, man.
It must be something with the grind. I don't know.
Maybe. Maybe
Yeah, I
we
don't
just
know.
need to get away from all the experience from time to time.
Yeah, and to be fair, like old school RuneScape section is definitely like people in their 20s, like men in their late
Yeah.
20s at this point.
Yeah,
So
I think it's a good demographic for, people that are interested in fitness.
yeah. Okay, I want to kind of switch gears now and talk about what is coming for the rest of the year for old school. So you're a huge fan of Deadman mode. You
I
take
am.
you take that shit very seriously, and also leagues. I'm not exactly sure when leagues is coming out. That's at the end of the year or
That'll
beginning
probably
of
be
next.
December.
Okay.
If I had to guess a specific month, I'm thinking December for that.
So is the Deadman mode coming out this month?
Yeah, so it comes out August 25th.
Okay. And what is the plan? Because I had to reread the blog because usually in the actual presentation I kind of like I zone out the Deadman mode because I just don't
Hmm.
do it. The game mode stresses me out. If there's anything you could say to somebody that has too much anxiety to even start, because I played the first ever like Deadman, that like World 345 or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
I had such a bad experience. I died
Yeah.
twice and I just quit, and I was like, I hate Deadman mode.
I was talking with some people yesterday about it, and like a lot of people feel that way, but that's kind of the design of Dead Men Mode, and it's unfortunate that it's designed like that, but that's like the whole purpose is,
Yeah, it's
the point
punishing.
is to kill the person next to you, and when you kill the person next to you, that person is not motivated to keep playing, so it's kind of like a self-defeating game mode, right? Where the more that you play it, the more people die off, the more people quit, and then that kind of makes the whole game die off, and then that kind of cascades. So I think they're trying something interesting on this one, which is kind of giving you what I expect to be a better rebuild potential. And I think if they're going to keep Deadman as a long-term thing or try to keep it, lasting longer, that's something that's necessary. Is you need to enable people to be able to rebuild themselves on the game very quickly, very seamlessly, because that's the most like depressing part. It actually sucks when you spend a day or two building up and you get this all this gear and you get all these stats and then you die one time and like goodbye.
Yep.
That sucks. And I think they've made some changes over the years where it's kind of less brutal. If you said you played the first Deadman mode, you
Yeah.
die anywhere in the game and you lost 50% of all of your experience except for those like few save stats, right?
Yeah.
Whereas they changed it to where if you die you didn't lose any experience, or if you lost combat XP you gain it back so quickly if you were skulled, but if you were unskulled you didn't lose anything at all. So they tried to like kind of help with that, but at the same time that kind of also took away from the idea of what Deadman mode was. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting kind of problem to solve, and it's not one that they've really figured out a fix for yet. I think there's upsides and downsides to this one that's coming up. The upsides, obviously, they're throwing in these league type aspects to it. They're the sigils, and the sigils are going to be like relics from leagues where you have all kinds of boosted stats. Or I think they said some of them are like skilling based, some of them are offensively combat based, and some are defensively combat based. And you can kind of change them out in the safe zones as much as you want.
Yeah.
So you can go all combat ones, you can go all defensive ones if you just want to try to avoid being PK'd and kind of tank people out because you don't want to lose your stats. And I think that's going to make this one, different enough to where there's not going to be an established meta
Yeah.
going into it. And I think to me, that's what made Deadman so stale eventually. And I played, I don't know, 12, 14 seasons of these things. But that made the last 10 of them very stale. Is it seemed to be the same exact thing every time, and everyone knew the meta, and you knew how you were going to train up, and you knew how you were going to gear up, and then you get to the final, and everyone has the same stuff.
Yep.
With this one, with these relics being a thing, with the combat brackets, where like if you go from level 35 to level 36, you get logged off of that world, and you have
Yep.
to log on to a level 36 to 70 world, and then a 71 to 99 world, or whatever it is, right? Those combat brackets and these sigils, they should make this different enough that not everyone's going to know the best stuff to do instantly. It's going to take some figuring out. So you kind of, there's strategy that goes back into play, and that's what I like about Deadman mode is being able to, kind of strategize the whole thing. And if you can think quick on your feet, you can get ahead. And if you can get ahead of the PKers, then even if you're like me and you're not so PK oriented, you can actually handle yourself just fine because you kind of let your stats and your gear carry you instead of your PK skills.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
lot to say really quickly. Sorry. You
No,
might have
no.
some questions.
I think it. I love to watch Dead Man Mode. I love it.
Mhm.
Absolutely, just love the tournament and everything, and even people training up. I'll hop through all the streamers that are like up there grinding. I think the bracket system is going to be really cool. I know Peter Spam loves his like low
Oh,
pure accounts, and so I feel like
yep.
a lot of the people that don't like just the typical, you know, max main PKing are really going to enjoy
Yep.
this. In fact,
This will
dying
be
will actually
different.
probably almost be like a reward for some.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's strategy that's involved in that even. You can spend your first few days just questing. Like say you want to go get Sins of the Father done, right? You can quest up to Sins of the Father, and then if you die 3 times on that third death, all of your combat stats get wiped. But your quests don't get wiped. So if you want to go then farm blood shards by thieving, you can get 35 combat or whatever. Kind of max out your defense or kind of range tank it or whatever you want to build it as. But you can then go thieve Firewatch for blood shards with the rogue armor on, and the highest level person you have to worry about is someone that's level 35. You can probably tank that out. So like there's a lot of strategy in how you want to structure your account even after a rebuild, where you can get all these things done and then stay in a lower combat bracket if you have something that you want to work on, like a blood shard, which make a blood fury, and you have some healing during the pass, the final bit.
Yep.
That could be appealing for some people.
So, what was there anything that was restricted? I remember they mentioned a few things like LMS and other like mini games are restricted, but I feel like Chambers and TOB is all unlocked, correct?
Yeah, Chambers is going to be active, so you'll be able to go in and get Prey Scrolls and Ancestral and all that stuff. Theater Blood's going to be in the game, so you'll see a Vernix. You might see some tank gear in there with Justy. I think something different that they're doing this time that they haven't done since like the, I don't know, second or third Deadman mode season is they're putting Zulrah back in the game with Venom.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to get a blowpipe or whatever if you want to venom someone. That used to be one of the worst things ever. You get venom one time and that no one keeps anti venoms on them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So if some PK rolls along and you get venom, you're pretty much screwed. So that's gonna change things again. I think they're also putting the Varrock flail back, which they
That
removed that
was
a long time ago, like
so
halfway through the
OP.
seasons, because yeah, at the end in the final hour, people would use full Varrock, and you would beat almost any account with that. Maybe not every time, but someone that didn't have a lot of skill was able to go take on these tribrids and shit.
Yeah.
And they removed that, and then it was kind of a joke that they then put in the ancient equipment, the Vesta longsword and Morgan's javelins and all that stuff, but they kept the Varrock flail out, and that stuff is so much more powerful than full Varrock's is. So it's good that they finally put that back in,
Yeah.
because maybe someone doesn't have the ability or the cash stack to buy a VLS, but they can afford a full Varrock set, and they can kind of give themselves a long shot, maybe go range tank plus Varrock
Yeah.
and have a chance. It's more variation. It's more choices out there for people. I think it's a good thing. But
Were the past seasons, did those have like increased drop rates on items? Because I know they're doing it for this one.
yeah, so they are increasing. I think it's threefold. It might be 3x or 4x. Actually, I
Yeah.
guess it's 4x because like Abbey whips and whatnot used to be like 1 and 128. So they're doing a lot of that stuff with like the Bandos and probably the Zora uniques. The theater items I think might have been 3x as common last time. Theater and Chambers. So yeah, that'll still be in the game, and then there's still going to be the global drop table where anything in the game can drop a VLS, but if you're in the wilderness, you have a better chance at dropping a VLS. I think it's something like that.
Mm.
I actually asked Husky to look back at the code because when they initially released the PvP weapons, they had the formula wrong. They had the algorithm wrong that determined what the drop rate was based on the monsters. It was supposed to be more common as it went up in level.
Yeah.
Like if you kill something that's level 300, you have a much better chance than if you kill something that's level 80. And the way that they initially had it work was like it peaked at 100 combat. So the closer you got to 100, the better chance it was. But if you went past that, it actually got worse. Killing a level 198 was the same chance as killing a level 2. So it took them, yeah. When they first released it, that's why everyone killed Ankus, because it ended up like everyone was getting stuff from Ankus. They're like 86 combat in the wild.
Oh my god.
And we were like, oh, we don't know why that's happening. Ankus and Fire Giants are so good, but if you go kill Black Demons, no one's getting it off that because they're like, I don't know, 172 combat or something, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, something's wrong here. So we kind of pulled up the formula and tossed it into Wolfram Alpha. It's not like I did the calculations. I looked at a little graph that, showed a bell curve. And it turned out that like the closer you got to 200 combat, the lower chance it was. And it was like that for at least the first like 2 Deadman seasons that these things were in the game. Like it took them months and months to, for us to catch this.
It just reminds me, like, it's funny how us as like a collective player base just kind of like find these things out relatively quickly. Like, okay, something's off. Same thing with Fasani's Nightmare. Nobody had got, like, out of like 4 different like major PVM clans, everybody after like 10 hours of Fasani's release was like, has anybody gotten an item yet? And everyone's like, nope. And then
No kidding.
There was like some,
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, there was like some secret like, I guess Arcane came into my stream and he was like, oh yeah, like it looks like everyone just got really unlucky, Kappa. Like apparently they did mess up, but it wasn't that big of a deal. I guess they could just hotfix it. But yeah, that was funny to see. Like the whole community is like
the same
60
thing happened
times
in the
overrate.
league. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The Trailblazer League with the God Wars dungeon items, the minions weren't dropping anything, and like for like a week straight, I kept telling them about it, and they're like, "Oh no, you guys are just getting unlucky." Like you don't understand. Like we have so many collective kills throughout like everyone in this community. Like got like 10,000 minion kills now. No one's gotten 1 God Sword shard. There's something wrong with this.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, they forgot 1 variable in the code. So yeah, I mean mistakes happen.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff to go over. I get it.
Oh yeah, 100%. But now I'm very
skeptical,
just extremely skeptical with every update. In fact, when like the combat achievements came out, for some reason I went like 5 times the rate of a totem piece in the catacombs.
Oh no.
My first thought was something's wrong with this, because like, I'm just so skeptical now with everything. So yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. And then apparently, so the 2,000 something qualifying players, I believe it's still 2,000 something, right?
Yeah, it's like 2056 or so.
Yeah, so they get sent to. Is it true that they just start with the 1v1s like right off the bat? There's no mass.
Yeah, so this one's gonna be like what is it? Is it a 1 month long Deadman mode? I think it's either 1 or 2 months. I forget what it is, but how it's going to work this time, I believe, is it's going to be skill total based. So there actually is appeal in not just training your combat stats during this, but you have to be in the top, 2,000, say, ranks overall.
Yeah.
And whenever they kick off the quote unquote final hour, it's not going to be how it used to be, where like there's these 2 zones, Anakarl and I don't know, Valador. Instead, everyone's just going to get into these 1v1s, which, a lot of people asked for a long time ago. And I think some people are unhappy with it. Obviously, the clans love to have that multi-factor.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that say Anakarl was always a problem. There'd be, the clan kind of rotating battle around the edge. And then there was always like this group of like 10 motherfuckers. Excuse me.
You're
10
good.
people.
It's a Sae Bae Cast.
10 motherfuckers in the middle of Anakarl, like hiding in the little, thing in the middle, and everyone's like 126 combat in that stack, and no one would touch them the whole time, right? You could just kind of AFK in there if you were in that inner circle. I tried to stand in there once, and they all found me out pretty quick, but didn't really work out. I think they were all LIT or something, but
no, I will say the
I
1v. I think the 1v1s at the beginning actually would almost make me want to do Deadman, because I felt like there was just so much luck toward the end. It was like, you just got to make it through this horrible, just mass murder of everybody, as long as you can just just be really lucky throughout there and just not get seen.
This time, I mean, with that thing, how it used to be with those areas, if you weren't clanned up, you're pretty much screwed, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you were a solo player, I mean, you can pretty much write it off. You're going to get ticked off when, you walk into a clan, you're going to get 1 hit. If you finally make it into the final area, unless you can pick up a team cape and kind of identify who to move with, you're probably going to get 1 hit or, singled out. I think one time that I rolled solo, I was able to make it through, and I completely just got lucky the whole time, like picking up brews before other people did. But so I think this is going to be an interesting way to try it. It may not be the answer long term, but it's different, and it'll give us an idea of if it's good or bad.
Yeah.
Kind of have to experience it first to have a good idea of that anyways. So I'm not against it. I like that they're trying it this way.
Yeah, I definitely like all the changes. I think the sigil idea is great. I think the whole league thing that they've done is just totally genius idea, and I think it's just gonna expand on future Deadman modes as well. It's kind of like,
I think there's one thing that I don't like about what they're doing this time.
Yeah.
And that's the single plus combat zone everywhere.
Okay. Wait, but there is still multi areas, correct?
There's still multi areas, but they're taking out some of those multi areas. So think like anywhere in the wilderness is still going to be multi, right? Wherever it was before. But like Barb Village is not going to be multi combat anymore for this. It's going to be singles plus. And this one is actually a good thing, right? So this way, you know, people that start late, if they go into Barb Village, they might have to tank one PKer, but they're not going to have to tank 30 people on them with fire strikes immediately for their 10k, right?
Yep.
Major quest areas like Lunar Isle is going to be single plus instead of multi. So you can maybe get that quest done without, you know, completely getting smacked the first time, you know, you get on there.
Yeah.
But the downside is everywhere in the game is single plus. So if you're training Slayer on a hill giant and a PK rolls up, doesn't matter if that guy is, you know, the maxed out level for your combat bracket. Even if you're in combat with that hill giant, he can tag you off immediately because PvP combat is going to take priority over, you know, monsters. So before, and really what I kind of don't like here is the regular kind of like average player. They're going to be the guys that are completely at a disadvantage here because there is no getting away now. You know, you can't run into a group of monsters and hope that the PKer gets tagged off now. You can't hope to get a teleport out before a PKer gets on you. Basically, if someone gets on you and they outgear you, unless you can get to a bank in time, you're screwed. And I think, though I like the idea behind it, it's supposed to increase activity and, you know, it's a PvP game mode and it's going to cause more, you know, more of that PvP activity and PKers should love it. It's going to kill off a game mode in the first few days, I think.
Interesting.
I think that's the downside is it's just going to cause too many people to just completely lose interest because they're going to feel like they have no hope.
So what about?
We'll see how it works out.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Like if you did have freezes, you can just freeze the guy, walk under him, correct? And then I don't know what like the whole teleport timer and stuff is, but
yeah. So if you can catch a freeze on someone and get out of line of sight, either stepping under or going around a corner, you can definitely still get out. So it's not like you're zero hope, but I just kind of think like most of the people that quit immediately after the first death are average players. You know? Just the casual guys that just want to, you know, kind of chill, have a good time, maybe farm a little bit. Swapping is going to be in the game, so there's going to be people that do that. But yeah, if you know what you're doing, you can still definitely get away from people.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think as somebody that wants, let's just say there's somebody that wants to merch the whole way and just make potions or whatever. It's like, I know you're usually in a safe area for that, but would the meta just be to get to like 35 combat and then just never train up against it, just so like in case you have to go somewhere you're like in the lowest bracket possible, but you're also the highest? Like, I wonder if there's going to be new metas like that.
There's definitely going to be new metas like that. I think the lowest chance to die to a PKer is definitely going to be in that lower combat bracket. So if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
I think something that's different now is if that's what you want to do, you have to rely on the GE because you're not going to be able to, like, say all the Barrows equipment, all the raids equipment, a lot of that stuff, that's going to be traded in the highest combat bracket world. But that stuff can only go down to the lower combat bracket worlds through the GE.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you can't sit in, you know, the GE on, you know, in Verac and hope to just trade someone that. If you have, you know, an alt account that gets, you know, a whip drop and you want to give it to your main or something like that, you either sell it through the GE, you know, or whatever else. Like that's the only way to get it over.
Yeah, or what you do is you'd have like a chain. You'd have to keep making these chains of like somebody that's just about to get to the next bracket, and you trade it.
Yeah, exactly, and carry it over, right? You're actually, you might see that, and I wonder if people will get banned for muling or something. But you might see clans that are like, you know, trying to transfer gear from one bracket to another by just trading one guy everything that they have, and then that guy goes and levels up. Imagine that guy gets smacked down during that time. That'd be hilarious.
Oh god. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. That you just find somebody that's like right on the verge of like moving to the next bracket.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So I think then the tournament should be at the end of September, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
That'll
be fun. It'll be different at least, and that's kind of what I'm looking forward to with this one. Is it's just not something that we've experienced.
So let's talk about some leagues. You've played both leagues, I assume.
I have. Yes, I love League.
Which one was better, in your opinion?
Trailblazer, hands down. It doesn't even compare. I mean, Twisted League was good, but to me, there didn't seem to be enough content Obviously, just having Zaya, it's a little, condensed. And I think I would have enjoyed it more, but I actually just, I've learned a lot about the game since Twisted League ended. It wasn't until after Twisted League that I started learning things like solo chambers and stuff like that. So I hardly even attempted it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that had to do with, somewhat with why I didn't enjoy it as much. It's just I just wasn't as good, and I wasn't as willing to step out of my comfort zone. Maybe if I could solo chambers back then, I would have liked it a lot more, because that was a lot of that. That was the only in-game content, basically. That and what, Seracnus.
Yeah.
So
pretty much.
it was just too condensed. It was cool though.
Yeah.
But Trailblazer League was a blast. I made 3 different accounts for Trailblazer League. Just to try different things, different areas and whatnot.
I mean, you would
combat styles.
You would basically get a maxed out account within a couple weeks. I mean, just gear wise and everything. So that's cool. Did you ever get to try the one tick blowpipe?
I did, yeah. So my second account that I made was a ranger, and I got the blowpipe. I started running those, like, I don't know, 20, 30 second Zora kills. That was a lot of fun, but I didn't do too much with it. I think I stopped that account at tier 4, I guess, for the for the combat stuff. So I never really got that last, tier 5 relic or whatever, where I could, like, attack everything with burst or heal up or whatever.
Yeah.
I think on that account, I just I got the blowpipe, and then I just started AFKing fire capes. Like, literally go into a fire cape on mobile, go into the fight caves on mobile, and I wouldn't touch the account one more time after that. And it was like a 28, 30-minute fire cape where you just auto retaliate the whole thing and hope that Jad doesn't kill you. And I mean, it was like an 80% success rate, so it's pretty easy.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was fun. And then I tried a major account as well, Mortania based, and that was fun, but I really only did that to get enough points for a Twisted Horns on my hardcore, so I can have that in the main game.
Yeah. Interesting. I remember people were like rushing Nightmare, and this is back in the time where I was like camped at Nightmare for months and months just trying to get an Inquisitiveness. I'm like, what is the fun in doing a new game mode and then rushing Nightmare, like the worst content? That was my least favorite piece of content. Now it's the best because Fasani's is out. It's so much fun. But
how do you like that? I haven't tried it yet.
Fasani's is incredible. I have to give a huge shout out to Mod Arcane. I think he was the main developer in that, but it is just so well done. It's so little RNG to it, and everything just feels like you're in control. It's just really nice.
Yeah, and Nightmare's really something that I just haven't really given too much interest in, just because it's like Corp on crack. It's like, it's a difficult Corp fight where the drop rates are still similar to the sigils, right? So it's like insane to get a drop. I hear Fasani kind of fixes that a little bit.
Yeah, Fasani's is really nice, and you actually get like some decent drops. It used to, like, your best drop you'd ever get is like 5 Sandfuse. Now you get like 6 Snapdragon Seeds, 8 Snapdragon Seeds. You get 500 Blood Runes and stuff like that. So
you still get like the, I don't know, 12 Bass drops or something that just really pisses you off after spending so long.
Yeah, no, 9 months straight. I spent over 1,100 hours doing Nightmare solos, and the majority was one tick flicking them. So that was definitely, the comparison is, there is no comparison. It's just completely different. And it's crazy how you could make a fight completely different, even though it's the exact same sort of mechanics. But it's,
how do you feel about that though? Like, kind of the switch to just making hard modes with current content rather than brand new things.
Honestly, it just depends, because like, I know a lot of people are like raids 3. I don't care about anything else besides just give us raids 3. I really do kind of like the hard mode aspect, and I think it's healthy just for the actual business of like Jagex, like making these hard modes and easy modes. Fasani's was super well done, so I can't really say I'm against hard modes, but I will say, like, hard mode TOB didn't seem hard enough. It didn't seem different enough, I guess. So it just feels like it's just like this muddy,
it's just another
water.
grind to hit.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird. But Fasani's feels good, and in fact, they never even needed to have a hard mode Nightmare. I think if Fasani's was always what Nightmare was, and you could do that in like a 5-man, I think that just would have been perfect.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I
Look at
know.
that. I flipped the podcast. I'm interviewing you now.
Yeah, no, this is what I love. This is the discussion I like, is when there's questions going for both of us, because I mean, you're arguably more experienced in the game. Like okay, this is a question I wanted to ask you. You've played a
Okay.
UIM before.
I have.
I don't get many UIMs on the cast. So
It sucks.
I just
uh,
yeah,
go
like
on
just
with your
talk about
question.
it. Like, you've played one, I've never played one, and I hate to judge things before I play it.
Okay, so I played early Ultimate Ironman.
Okay.
So I can't really compare it to how it is nowadays, because the way I've heard about it nowadays is playing an Ultimate now is easier than playing a regular Ironman on Ironman release. Because the game's changed
Probably.
so much since then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense, but the way that I like to put it is Ultimate Ironman is kind of like you need to be somewhat masochistic to play Ultimate Ironman. You have to enjoy pain in some form to like that game mode, because it's punishing, right?
Yep.
I started Ultimate Ironman the day that they released the official modes, which was like fall of 2014. And I only made an Ultimate Ironman then instead of a regular Ironman, because I already had an unofficial Ironman. You remember the Iron Faux account?
Yeah.
That's like, the one that that I played back then. I already had an Ironman quote unquote account up to like 1750 total, so I wasn't very enthused to start that grind over at that time. I wish I did, looking back on it now. But so instead of that, I tried Ultimate Ironman, and I played it for I don't know, 4 or 5 months straight, and enjoyed it. It was a challenge. I had to kind of think of things in a different manner, kind of plan things out. If I was going to do a quest and I needed to go in Trana,
And there was no meta.
it was difficult. Right, there was no meta. We kind of figured out the get a looting bag thing, but I don't even think there was something like Zulrah back then to die to bank all your stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it was just harder, and people hadn't figured out all the most efficient ways to do things. So I think I ended up quitting that account and going back to an Ironman. Like, I actually stopped playing that account to make a new official Ironman, brand new. And it's not because I didn't enjoy it. It's just things were too tedious for me.
Yeah.
I get very uninterested in a grind as is, even on an Ironman account, after so long, and taking that and kind of handcuffing yourself and hopping on one leg while doing it all was just too much for me.
Yeah.
So nothing but respect to the Ultimate Ironmans I can do it. I mean, there are some ridiculous accounts out there, like absolutely. I don't know. There's this one guy that like locked himself in a swamp and like did everything that I do, but like jumped a bridge to get there. So people do some really ridiculous stuff with it, and it blows my mind. It's amazing, but it's just not for me nowadays.
I think the craziest. I don't know if you've ever watched an Ultimate Low stream. That man has the craziest Ultimate Ironman. Just insane. Like, he's got multiple third age pieces. He fully completed Nightmare. Like,
oh wow.
And he will do these things where he'll stack like 1,000 hard caskets on a UIM.
You're kidding.
Like, I'm like, how do you even have the patience for that? Because whenever he gets a wildy step, he has to like go suicide.
Yeah. I think clues are what made me quit my Ultimate Ironman.
Yeah, that's horrible.
I spent I think 3 weeks straight going for Ranger boots on that account.
Oh, when you didn't have stash units either.
It was before stashes, yeah.
Oh god.
And it was before Eclectic Implings as well.
Oh god.
So no. I gained, I think it was 4.5 million attack XP whipping guards in Verac and Falador for clues. And you could keep like, I don't know, I think I kept like 15 or so of the items on me because I needed teleports and everything else. And then you'd get this clue that's like, oh, you need to go get a steel kite. Well, shit, I got to drop this gnome top now, and I got to fly down to Narda to like, or whatever, I did. But it's just like constant. It just pissed you off every clue you got. I think it took me like 511 clues to get my range.
Oh god, you go dry.
That was like I was like, I'm just done with this. Like, I just don't want to. This isn't fun for me anymore. This is just pain.
Yeah, that's horrible. Yeah, I've never felt the desire to go play one, but I know I definitely have gotten to that point in my life where I really shouldn't judge things until I just try it. But that's just something I just know I'm not gonna like, But I still need to try it because then I can at least say it. Damn.
But yeah, respect to those guys. Like that's a ridiculous
absolutely.
grind. That's just a whole nother level.
Absolutely. All right, we got a topic from Twilks, he asks, best way to deal with burnout and bad dry streaks.
Mm.
So what is like your worst dry streaks? I want to hear it because I think I can already guess, but I want to hear some of your worst dry streaks and what you did to push through.
I think I've got two that like directly come to mind. One of them, the first of the two, is what cost me my first hardcore status, and that was going for a sigil. So that took me, I don't know, 400 or 500 hours, and ended up dying on that one. But I was on that grind for months, and really like, well, and then obviously the other one you're thinking of is the Pig Agent Crystal.
Yep.
3069 KC, I think it was, or 3169 KC for a peg crystal, so about 6x of the drop rate.
So stupid.
Yeah, so I mean, they can be painful, but either burnout if you're skilling, or dry streaks on a specific piece of content. I think just the best way to push through it is just changing it up a little bit. You do the same thing for too long, and you're gonna get annoyed with it, and you're gonna log off the game, and you're not gonna play anymore. So. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to work on this game. There's skilling, there's PVM, there's all kinds of stuff you could do. Just take your mind away from it a little bit. Take a break for a few days, or even an hour. Go do something else, and that seems to help. People always, I get this question a lot on my stream, and every single time it happens, I'm like, well, what grind are you working on right now? And for some reason, the answer is always either mining or runecrafting. Like. Yeah, you've been runecrafting for 2 weeks straight. No shit, you're burnt out. Get away from it. Go do something else for a little bit. No one's gonna like that. I mean, there's a select few. You might be one of them, but there's a select few that can handle that like no problem. Yeah. But most people just can't handle doing the same monotonous activity nonstop. And sadly, that's kind of what the game's built on. But yeah, you need to get away from it. You gotta go switch it up a little bit.
I will say I am not a robot. Some people think. Because of like the nightmare. I was about
to say, hang on, how many hours? 1,100 hours you said? You're not a robot?
I seriously do not understand how I did that, especially because as soon as combat achievements came out, I was required to do one solo nightmare, and that was like hell. And I knew I could see the light at the end of a tunnel. I had to do one kill, and it was horrible. I was like, how did I do this like 3,000 times? I just seriously couldn't even like understand how I did that. But there's just something where it's like you want something so bad, it just, like you start getting numb to it, I guess. So yeah, but I'm definitely, there's just grinds that I can do for long periods, and there's some I just like I can't do this. I feel like it all comes to why am I doing this? If the why isn't strong enough, like if I truly just I don't know, if it's not important enough, I just will burn out way easier. Yeah, I know. I see you get those questions a lot. Like, I'm working on this. I'm burnt out on this.
Yeah. So. It's always runecrafting, man. I don't blame them. I hate it too.
Yeah. What do you think about day alt though? Curious.
Day alt, I actually don't mind it. That's how I learned how to 1.5 tick stuff. I felt so efficient when I got that.
Yeah, it's cool to 1.5 tick, and then you realize, oh god, like this is so much easier just to.
Honestly, using it is not like, it doesn't matter what I'm doing it on. If I'm ZMI, like normally I hate ZMI, but if I ZMI with day alt, it's like a breeze because the XP rate is so damn high.
Oh yeah.
So actually, I really like it. And if you're just going to AFK something, it's not really a very efficient AFK. But if you're going to AFK something and you don't want to click much, I mean,
day alt's insane like a clean for that.
Yeah, like a clean 60-second AFK every single click. So that's pretty solid. I don't mind it.
I love it. I think it's a great update, and it's like perfect because, yeah, like what you say, ZMI and any other like traditional runecrafting method just feels so much better. Like, it doesn't feel that bad anymore. So
I keep telling myself I'm gonna AFK on my Ironman to bank 99 runecrafting through day alt while I play my hardcore, but I keep not doing it.
It's so. I wonder, is there a RuneLite plugin yet that shows you the timers of like when they're like
there's not a plugin for the timer, but what you can do is you can object marker the active node, and if you do that, when it switches, you'll see, I make mine yellow. You'll see this big ass yellow waving line in the background, so you'll know that it's not on yours anymore. I don't think there's a timer though. Someone should make that plugin.
Is it exactly 60 seconds? Is it 100 ticks?
I think it's about a minute. I'm
Okay.
not sure. It's
I would
somewhere
love to
around
see
there.
if it's
Probably not
exactly
exactly.
static.
Yeah,
Then
I
set
doubt
my
it.
timer.
Usually they don't do things that are right on point like that just because
Yeah.
it makes automation too easily. But then again, there's like machine learning shit that kills Bandos nowadays. You're not going to beat automation. Apparently, the automated PvPers are better than us nowadays. So.
Dude, I saw a clip of West Ham getting his ass whooped by this guy that was just he not only are the bots like perfect one tick switching all their gear, but they're running around you like just
Oh, you're kidding me.
like, and I'm talking like efficiently running around you where they're always like 2 tiles away from you just ready to whip you at any point. Like it's crazy.
It's so nuts.
It's disgusting.
People ask why PvP is dying, and it's because the robots took over, man. It's just I can't beat an NPC. I can't beat this AI bot that's gonna out PvP me. So
I'm actually scared. This might just be my own fear. I don't know if it'll actually happen, but I'm scared in Deadman mode. There might be some bots going on.
Oh, I'm sure, dude.
Hopefully
I'm
not
sure.
in the turn. Hopefully they would catch them. I mean, I assume they would, but
yeah,
I don't know. That shit is
maybe
terrifying. West Ham was like, those things are demonic. That was his word for demonic. But,
people keep asking me how to get like the room pouch or whatever on hardcore, and I tell them just go LMS, and they're like, oh, I can't get a kill. Like, all you got to do is kill a bot, and then I realize that there's these like 2,000 IQ bots out there. I don't blame them now. I'm like, why they don't want to do that?
Yeah, no, yeah, and I haven't really done much LMS since the new map. That new map, I'm so confused. I don't know where I am. Like, it's genuinely,
I haven't even tried it yet. But then again, I am pretty terrible at LMS, I think.
You basically just have to like sweat as hard as possible, and then you get flamed for sweating. But like, it's either sweat or die.
It's PvP. You get flamed if you win. You get flamed if you lose.
Oh my god. Okay.
The good thing about PvP though is you're never bad at it, because if you're bad, you just say lag, and then that, like,
or you're bad, you're
cover
just saying,
all, right?
yeah, just call him a nerd. Like, wow, I try hard.
Exactly.
You're sweating.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Kind of going back to, I guess, streaming and stuff. Whale asks, any tips for longevity on Twitch? That's a great question. I
actually remember laughing about this one because the guy that responded to him said that he just needs to go live every once in a while. I wonder if he knows him, and this guy just never goes live, like streams like once every blue moon. Longevity on Twitch. It's a hard question because nowadays with old school Twitch being so developed, and this is specifically talking about old school. I can't really speak for other categories.
Yeah.
It's hard to break through. People will go live and really sit at the bottom of the category for a long time, and it doesn't matter if they're live every single day. If you're not doing something that's bringing people to your channel, it's hard to break through that kind of, I guess, barrier. Once you get past like that 10 viewer barrier or something, you kind of get into the higher areas. It helps discoverability, right?
Yeah.
I think that growth on Twitch should be organic. I'm not someone that has ever cared for giveaway growth or anything like that.
Yep.
So I think that you need to be doing something that is both engaging with your community, so you can actually build a community, and entertaining. And it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to be a god at the game. I'm not very good at RuneScape. There's 1,000 people, 10,000 people that are better than me. But it helps to be interactive with your community to a point where you're entertaining enough that people want to stay around.
Yep.
I may not be doing the most high skilled stuff, but if I can, continue a conversation and keep people engaged, maybe people would want to watch my stream. So it's really just about finding out, one, what you're interested in and what you're good at, and seeing how you can, build off of that. As far as, longevity goes, this is really just about discipline and routine. If you can't get yourself to, pull up and muster the energy to stream, consistently, and I don't think I'm going to give the answer that most people give. Most people give, the answer of, oh, you just need to stay consistent. You just need to stream every single day. You just need to never leave or whatever else. You don't have to do that. There's streamers that stream 3 times a week, for 3 hours a day, and they're wildly successful. I mean, look at Austin's show on Twitch. He barely streams. He streams a few times a month now, and he's still going to pull insane viewers because he has that brand, and he has that established community, and he has his thing.
Yep.
So if you can make your thing, think of Wooks. Wooks isn't consistent.
Yeah.
If he goes live today, he's going to be the top of the category.
Yeah.
You just gotta be good at what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I always hear the consistent. See, I think consistency is key, but it has to be like Wooks is going to go live when a new
Yeah.
PVM update is. That's his consistency. And like,
I mean, it certainly doesn't help. Like, I stream a very similar schedule every single week because that's what times work for me. And since that's what times work for me, that's what I stick to.
Yep.
But people know when I go live, they know when I get offline, they know what to expect, so that helps, right? If I went and asked one of my average viewers right now, should I be live at this time? They'd tell you absolutely. Why is he not live right now? So it helps when you have an audience that knows what to expect out of your stream. But it's hard to bring in new people that don't already know that pattern.
Yeah.
If you're not consistent. So I get where consistency definitely does help.
I really love how I think Twitch's algorithms are really good for the recommended streamers. I always see like at the bottom of my follow list, I'll see like 5 or 10 recommended channels, and they always seem to be pretty relevant. So I do feel bad though, like you say, there's always a form of luck involved where there's just people that just sit at the bottom of the category and never get that like recommendation. And that's just sad. Like that's just like, damn, like you just kind of got unlucky. But there's always ways to kind of get yourself out there and stuff. Like it's not just all on Twitch to make its algorithm work for you. But I will say their algorithm has definitely let me find a lot of new streamers that I just really enjoy watching. So I think Twitch is doing a good job on that part. Okay.
And it might just, back to that note real quick before we move on, it might just take doing something that's out of your comfort zone or something that's just going to be just something to wow people every now and again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's streamers that I see all the time that, and I'm not saying you have to go do charity streams or anything like that, but they'll do a stream that's like, a subathon or a 24-hour or something big that they don't usually do.
Yep.
And I'll usually catch those, whereas before that I may not have ever heard of them before. Now I'm interested in this person and what they're into because I'm actually seeing them now.
Yep.
So
no, absolutely.
Just something small.
I think because I was one of those streamers that I just felt like my first 3 months of streaming, I was getting a little teeny bit of growth, but I was barely ever getting past that 10 viewer range. And I thought 10 viewers, like if I could get 10 viewers, that would be amazing.
I was my first 10 viewers. I feel you.
Yeah. Like
back in those days, you could just open up a lot of tabs. So literally when I started streaming, I opened up 10 tabs on my own stream to see if it would work. And it did. It doesn't work anymore. You can't do that. Sorry, I didn't give you a cheat code or anything, but
my dad
my dad
would come on. Shout out my dad. Like imagine that. My dad's watching my stream. I can't imagine how uncomfortable that was for him, for me to stream to like 2 other people.
It was probably uncomfortable for you.
Oh yeah, it was way worse for me, but I understood he was trying to do it. He would never really watch. He would just always have it open. Yeah. But no, I will just say, like, as soon as you do something that's kind of out of the ordinary that not other people are doing, you do get that like big spike of exposure.
Yeah, it could help.
So yeah, if I had mentioned anything for like just longevity, in my opinion, is like you have to have a good routine. I do not really practice exactly what I preach, but I will say I've never burnt out of streaming, and I think part of that is I do take occasional breaks. I'm not the most dedicated, like strict to the schedule as possible, but like I give myself enough like rest days where it's like I've never really burnt out. I've never been like, okay, I need to take like a month off,
Mm-hmm.
So that works for me. That's
balance is important. Yeah. You got to have that.
Yep. And some streamers are built different. Like Curtis, I even see you just pulling out 8 to 9 hour streams most days.
Curtis is unbeatable, man.
He is insane.
Curtis will stream every single day and never think twice about it.
He is actually insane.
Yeah.
And I know Bodie's 1 year marathon. Yeah. Like I've done a month. The month is the most I've ever streamed every single day. That was so hard. So anyway. So I want to kind of get into Raids 3. We'll kind of get into Raids 3. Jinzo Rain is asking initial thoughts on Raids 3 rewards. He also is asking your favorite grind on the hardcore as well. So I guess we'll cover that first. What was your favorite grind on the hardcore?
Yeah, that's tough. I think Corp is always my favorite thing to do. I've done it on 3 hardcores now. And I guess one of my favorite achievements was actually completing the sigil, completing the spirit shield on my last hardcore.
Yeah.
Got the arcane on that. So that, you know, that felt good. But really, like, I don't know, my favorite grinds, they've changed a lot over the years, and it just has to do with what I'm interested in at the time. Like right now I'm super enjoying the corrupted gauntlet grind because it's hard as hell.
Yeah.
But I've
tier 3 armor, by the way, that's just crazy.
It's nuts. But it's much more doable than you might think. I thought it was going to take me a month to learn, and I was getting it down on my first day. So like it's definitely doable. You just have to move constantly.
Are you just like fried? Like, is your brain fried by the end though? I feel like that's just so much energy.
I have to stop after about 6 hours of doing it. I have to take a break, and I really like go down to doing about half as many per hour at that point, because it does like it's like 11 minutes straight of just constant focus, and like I finally gotten to the point where I can like read the chat while I do it and whatever else. But even when I do that, my success rate goes down. Yeah. I can't finish my prep in time, you know. So yeah, it takes a lot of, you know, it's a mental grind. But yeah, I think my favorite grind ever on a hardcore was probably the initial sigil grind. But that one hit me hard because I died on my first account doing that. After months, I died.
Seeing that was heartbreaking, by the way. Your face.
It hurt, and it was completely my fault. I was on the West Coast at the time instead of you know my typical Texas stream, and I was playing on a UK server, and it didn't click to me. You know, like my ping was actually okay in Texas on that, but being on the West Coast, I was playing on 200 ping.
Yeah.
So like I look back at that clip, and I think, and I could be wrong, but I think I clicked the teleport on time, but because of that 200 ping, it just does not register. So.
Yeah.
Maybe if I was on a West Coast world, I could have been saved, but it was just heartbreaking. It actually, that death on Focus, my first hardcore, that death took me out of the game for like a month, where like I would go live, but I had no motivation to do anything.
Damn.
You know, I tried building a new hardcore. I stopped doing that. I went back to my Ironman. I stopped doing that. And I just, it's so weird how that drained the joy out of like what I was doing on the game. It sucks. And people that have played hardcore enough and, you know, maybe built up a decent hardcore and died on it, they might know the feeling that I'm talking about, but it pulls you down. It actually drags you down so much. It sucks to die on a hardcore. So I feel for like all the guys that just go to like a DC, like so far into the game, you got thousands of hours into the game, and then you die to a stupid DC to some boss that you would never die at, period. It like that, I can't imagine what that feels like, because I haven't gone out that way yet.
Yeah.
But
this account, it died so early on. I had 2 hardcores, but this was my second one, and this one died to a DC in the catacombs. I was just one tick flicking black demons. It just died. I know what I don't exactly know how you felt, but I can see a little bit where it's like you just die and you're just burnt. You're just like, what do I do now? Like, this is just depressing.
It sucks, man.
You see the gray helmet and you're like,
yeah,
like this is not the same.
You get so attached to just a few pixels. It's crazy how that works, you know.
I'm actually just curious, what do you think of the hardcore Ironman culture of Twitch, especially, where I feel like a lot of new streamers almost feel obligated to have that hardcore because it's more, you get more exposure, I feel like, just on Twitch.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to do what people are interested in, because like you could be the best person in the game at, you know, killing Nightmare on an Ironman, for instance. But if it's not exciting, people aren't going to want to watch it. So Twitch is kind of a balance of Co Carnage. Really, I don't know if you know Co, but really large streamer, really active variety streamer. One of the best out there. Hands down, like one of the smartest streamers I've ever watched. But he put it a really good way one time, and I'm going to get this wrong, but he explained it that there are several aspects to streaming and being successful on Twitch or any platform, and that is you have to do 1, what you are interested in, 2, what your community is interested in, and 3, what you are good at. And you got to kind of have a balance of those 3. You know, I can be interested in PvP and my community can be, you know, interested in PvP, but if I'm shit at PvP, that's not really going to make a good stream, right?
Mm.
But like, you know, Ironman mode or hardcore Ironman mode, I have a huge interest in. My community has a huge interest in, and I'm good at it.
Yep.
So like getting that balance just right, if you can hit all those aspects, you know, you can do well. And I actually might be getting one of those wrong. I think one of his, you know, rather than what you're good at, I think what he actually said was what is healthy for the stream. And that's kind of how he chooses which games to pick when he's doing variety streams. You know, you might want to, like, I might want to take a break and go stream, I don't know, Hello Kitty Island Adventure for a while. But if that's not good for the health of my stream and no one's going to want to watch that, that's not a good thing for me to do.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that is important when it comes to streaming, or even just, you know, what you want to play. If you're not a streamer, if you just want to play a game for some reason, you know, what's going to make you happy, you know?
Yeah.
It's good to kind of consider things in that light more than just what specific content you're doing. Why are you doing that content? Is your community interested in it? Are you interested in it? You know?
Absolutely. And I don't know how you feel. So there's a couple Twitter topics. That was one of them. I'm trying to find it. It was kind of talking about. Let me just see if I can. Oh, so like there's two sort of topics. One is like if you had to choose a new game to stream on Twitch, what game would it be? And sort of I swear it was on this thread. I can't find it right now, but it was something along the lines of like what is it like to be a streamer that's known for RS and kind of being almost stuck to
I saw that. So if I had to find a new game to stream, I think the game that I'm most interested outside of RuneScape is WoW. I have about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years of experience in WoW. I used to raid very heavily back in the day. Used to PvP very heavily in Arena. Love the game. In fact, I you know, played BC Classic just recently.
Yep.
Took a Hunter up to 70. Played that for a while. I had to stop playing it because I actually stopped doing just like I streamed it a little bit.
I think I saw a tweet on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I streamed it a little bit, but I had to stop doing it because like I canceled my membership because I stopped doing things around the house. Like I would stream RuneScape for like 8 or 9 hours, and then I'd go you know, my wife would go to work and I'd play WoW for like the rest of the day, and I stopped like mowing the yard and I stopped like cleaning up in the kitchen and whatnot. I was like, shit, I actually have to stop playing this game because I'm putting all my extra time into it, and you know, I'm big into like, you know, balance, right? I need my life to be balanced. I have to spend enough time, you know, focused on my stream and, you know, kind of having a little bit of time for myself, but also I gotta take care of business, right?
Yep.
So like my life was falling a little bit out of balance, so I actually ended up canceling my WoW membership because of that. But you know, I started playing WoW back in the original vanilla, so I played it all the way through to I think Pandaria, and kind of on and off. But I played BC and Lich King very heavily, so that would be my next go-to if I didn't stream RuneScape. But I think even more than that, I just have a huge interest in survival games. Ark Survival Evolved, Valheim, you know, anything like that really always catches my interest. So like I considered trying out New World. I played it in the alpha way back, like a year and a half ago, before people kind of got their hands on it. So I got to experience it a little bit during that, but I'm kind of upset. I had a beta key for this last one. I didn't actually check it out. So I should have done that, but I was kind of worried about falling into that same, you know, kind of WoW you know, thing that I just went through back in like June. So
there's like
I stayed away from this one.
There's like two forms of streamers I kind of see. Obviously, there's more, but I'm thinking there's like a streamer that is variety based where they can't ever just settle on a game, and that can honestly be like less security. But then there's like the RuneScapers and stuff, or other gamers that have their game, but then if they get burnt of that, then it's like this is how I'm meant to stream. So what do you think what do you think is better in your eyes, to almost like have that security game where it's like I can do this and I can feel secure with streaming and everything like that, or do you feel like being a variety streamer, being able to play all these games but like never having that secure game? Like what do you think would be better?
I don't think I see it that way. I think you have to kind of do what works for you. Like some people work very well doing variety games. Some people are just not gonna be able to sit and stream only one game for years and years and years straight, right?
Yeah.
So kind of you gotta if you're looking to get into that, you have to do what works for you. Um, I think it's hard. It's harder for a RuneScaper specifically, I believe, to break out of the RuneScape category. Sick Nerd did it. Ice Poseidon did it. Hamlins did it. I don't know if you guys knew that. TSM Hamlins. He started as an old school RuneScape streamer. He used to stream to like 40 people on old school Twitch before he started playing Fortnite and then became pro.
Wow.
It can be done, but it's extremely hard to break out from old school to somewhere else, and that's just because, from what I've found over the years, people that play old school are just interested in old school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can go stream WoW, and I'm gonna stream to 200, maybe 300 people if I'm lucky, and that's maybe 20% of what I would typically see in my stream, because there is more of a crossover between old school and WoW. People just if you're playing old school, you just want to watch old school for some reason. That's just how this community is. So it's really hard to break out of that and kind of get comfortable doing something else. You'd have to put a lot of work in and a lot of time into actually trying other things and getting enough of a community that's interested in that, and then you can kind of build off of there, and you'll grab new people as you go. But yeah, it is. Old school's a very unique category on Twitch.
Yeah.
Very unique.
All right, let's cover Jinzo's first topic. He was talking about initial thoughts on Raids 3 rewards. So the new wand. I'm already spacing the other ones. What were the other ones?
Yeah, so there's kind of like a Darok type range set.
Oh yeah, where you're camped at like 40 HP or something.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. So the wand, I like the idea behind this thing, and this is like you get 2 or 3 fast hits in a row, like 2 ticks apart, and then it charges up, quote unquote, a stronger hit that might, I don't know what they're planning on, but might take 5 or 6 ticks.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it's going to be balanced. I personally don't think Jagex is going to go through with this how they pitched it. I think they're going to change it. And I don't know if that's going to be because of a balancing reason. I know they've talked about the potential where you can hit 2 or 3 of those like really quick ones with the wand and then switch to a different weapon for your big hit and then go back to the wand for the quick hits. And I think that's going to be hard for them to balance and get right. So personally, I'd be surprised if they actually release this into the game how they intend it to be. But I do think it's unique. It's completely something different than what they've tried in the past. So I like it. I like the idea behind it. I haven't really thought through the practical applications of it.
My thoughts. So I've always been a fan, and not all of them, but like a lot of Sae Bae Casts where we talk about Raids 3, I always bring up this 2-tick wand idea. And they might have been listening when they introduced this new kind of twist on it. But I really just want a 2-tick wand. I think the whole I think it attacks 3 times at 2 ticks, and then the 4th attack is always like a 4-tick attack, and then it'll always like remember. This is what I've heard just from people in my stream that told me. And I feel like that's just kind of silly almost. It's almost like, why not just have it always 2-tick, and then if you wanted to power up attack, you would just use like a Sang or something,
Yeah, I feel like though the issue you run into there is the same exact issue that they had with the blowpipe, right? Where and obviously if it's not super powerful, I guess that that's fine, but it becomes hard to bring new gear into the game that's damage multiplying or whatever else, because it scales so much bigger with something that's 2-tick than it does something 4-tick.
It's true, but a lot of the places where we're maging things rely on that long range, and I think of this is a short burst range.
Oh, okay.
Because think about like chambers. Like you can't really use this wand unless you're like doing in team chambers, or somehow manipulating when you're doing 4-0, getting a wand hit off or something. Something crazy.
Yeah, I guess if it has a short attack range of like 5 tiles as well, that changes it a lot, huh?
Yeah, and especially like you just think about Nightmare. I mean, there's a real benefit to having a harm staff at Nightmare because it has 1 extra attack range from like a Sang, so you can actually just fully safe spot the boss at most pillars with that. Whereas the wand, you're always having to like run toward it and stuff. So my personal opinion, I would love it to just be a static thing. It does not have to be. I think it should be just slightly better than like a Sanguinesti, just DPS wise. That wouldn't really hit too high. But yeah, obviously, if like new gear comes out, it's gonna just dramatically increase it over time. But
Yeah, and I guess that's a good point because Sing staff, at least you get the added benefit of it healing you. So
exactly, yeah.
it
In
does make
fact,
sense for it to be more DPS.
I would almost be a fan because they are having an armor that's damaging you down to 40 HP. It would almost be cool if this wand actually damaged you or something, like some sort of offset, to like offset how powerful it is.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think if
that's
they have a
interesting.
theme of that already, that could actually work.
It's definitely like a new brand of weapons and abilities that they can kind of bring in. I need to be careful using the term abilities with old school, but a new style of combat that they can bring into the game that adds a lot of variability to what's already here.
Yeah. What do you think of the? Let me try to get this right. What do they call it? The incantations or whatever they were.
The incantations.
Is that what they call them? The little modifiers of the raid. There's some
Oh,
word.
is this the one that they're like, kind of like the prestige one where like you can make it harder or
Yeah.
easier?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't.
so actually I
What do they
kind
call
of
them?
like this, honestly. I mean, someone that's skilled at the game, they can make it harder and, have a better chance at loot, but maybe like, someone that wants to do Rage 3, but, can barely step in the door at Chambers maybe, might have a chance at getting it done and having a long shot at some loot. Like that could be a good thing. Maybe give some hardcores the ability to get in there if they're, too scared to go in. I don't know. I mean, I like having difficulty with hardcore modes. So I don't know that that's a wonderful idea, but, it adds potential to more than just what I would call the top tier.
Yeah. I think this is a really healthy thing for just Jagex as a business to do this because you're going to get so many players involved.
Yeah.
Personally,
Do you see them expanding it though? Like actually bringing that backwards into Theater of Blood or something like that?
I
I
doubt
mean, I know
it.
they have story mode, but that's kind of not the same.
Yeah, I doubt it. By the way, I love story. Well, I did love story mode back when I thought that the elite clue rate was the same because
Uh-huh.
entry mode is actually just fun. You just go in there, just fly through it. It becomes more of a how fast can I do this without actually thinking about much.
I actually haven't tried it yet.
It's really fun. Just soloing it. It's just like you're just chilling.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm kind of excited about with this new Raids 3 thing. Is like you could just, if you just want to chill, but you still want to do Raids 3, you could just lower all the modifiers.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Maybe that'll be a easier way for people to get into like solos and stuff. I don't know that Raid 3 is going to be soloable, but
Yeah,
could
I think they
could
do
be.
want it to be soloable. I think they were
Yeah.
saying like 1 through 8, 1 through 8 people.
That's what I like as well, though. This 8-man idea, like that's a pretty large group compared to say theater. I don't know that I doubt it's going to be the meta,
Yeah.
but I wonder how some of the mechanics of the bosses are gonna kind of bounce off of having so many people in.
Yeah. Have you done any Sepulcher?
I haven't done the last floor though.
Okay.
I kind of like I messed around with it. I did I don't know 100 or so on my Ironman at the 4th floor, but I stopped doing it because I want to get 92 Agil on that account first before I really send it, just so I
Yeah.
can actually have a chance at the ring. But yeah, that actually was some good pathing practice for things like the theater maze or even corrupted gauntlet. I've gotten so much better at running Hunlift based on some of the things that I kind of picked up from Sepulcher.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think they're going to be implementing some of those kind of
Oh, I don't
hallway-based
doubt it.
things in
Yeah.
Raid 3. So interesting. Yeah,
This ranging Darok set. What do you think about that?
so I think it's gonna be really cool for Inferno. Just
Oh shit.
seeing like I'm trash at the Inferno. I've
Mhm.
I've done 4 capes, but like the last cape I ever did was like almost 2 years ago now. So like
Gotcha.
I am not good at the Inferno. But I love watching people that are just disgusting at it. Like I don't know if you've ever watched Adwam attempt the one prayer point Infernos.
Oh, I haven't. No.
It is
I mean,
just
I've seen No Pillars and I've seen all of Exact's crazy shit, but I haven't seen one of those.
yeah. No, Adwam will get to like he'll get to like the wave 50s or so, and then he'll accidentally like he will literally go into the Inferno with no prayer and one prayer point. So it's not like he's starting
No.
out at 99. If he makes a mistake, it's like whatever. Like I'll just continue. It's
Oh
like
my gosh.
no, he is at one prayer point, and it's like just horrible. It's like it brings on like unnecessary stress to the viewers. Even it's like I'm feeling stressed out because like anyway, it reminds me, or it's just gonna be cool seeing people using this new super powerful range set, but having to have that like, you know, lower require or just like lower health. I think it's cool.
It takes me back to like that time Wooks decided to do, and this was early on ish in Inferno, where he decided to do a no potion run, like no brews, no restores, nothing. And he just brought a SGS in with him. I don't know if you saw this. And he's streaming this, and he's getting through like the early waves. He's on like 20 or 30 or something like that. And he dismantled his SGS because he decided it would be too easy to get it done with that spec. And he continued to finish the rest of it with that. Like that blew my mind.
Literal savage. Yeah, that's disgusting.
Absolutely nuts.
It's insane the amount of talent we have from the player base. Like I think of Exact and Wooks. Like Wooks is the pioneer, while Exact is like he'll like expand upon it.
Expert.
He's like the super mechanical.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like, I wonder what was going through. I wonder if Bodhi thought that somebody would actually complete a 40 combat Inferno, like when he offered that challenge for like the $10,000.
I think. Yeah, I don't know. I think he knew that people could do it, but he wanted to see that grind pushed.
Yeah.
I don't think he expected someone to get it done so quickly.
Yeah. And like I think he made a special thing, like if Exact if he gets anything like higher than that, it would like dock the price, but he just straight up went for the 40.
Yeah, it's so nuts, man. That was so much fun to watch though. Like it makes me
insane.
so nervous watching the majors at the end. and like how he has to reposition them, like that is wild. But
yeah. That is some of the best content.
I just don't understand how you get that good. You know?
And the other thing is like sometimes I think are you really basically suiciding your accounts just to find out what the furthest safe spot is possible for all these things? Like I see them start running across the room, like down south, even on Zook. And I'm like, you must have taken so many attempts just to figure out what the safe spots were. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
it's such a fun grind, man. It's just like watching those streams are some of the most entertaining streams I've ever seen on Twitch. Honestly, Inferno Release was the best time of RuneScape Twitch for me, like since Old School's been released.
It was so good. Yeah. I had your stream open, I had Bodhi's stream open, I had V the Victim.
Oh man.
Zulu.
I think
was doing
V surprised a lot of people during that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was. I remember his face when I think it was. When he saw, was it after Triple Jazz? He thought it was over. Or
I think it was
like
the healers.
Or was it the healers?
I think it was when the healers popped up. Like, cause I think he was the first person that got to the healers, and he's just like, no. I mean, we all remember like the Yad, what are you doing here? When Wooks first saw Jad during Zuck, and everyone's just like, yeah, this is impossible.
That was so awesome.
That's kind of what's crazy about it, though. Like the Inferno Release and kind of that progression, and seeing Triple Jads and seeing Zuck, and then the healers, and the Jad and the multiple sets, and every single time something new came up, everyone's opinion was this is literally never going to be done by more than like one person.
Yeah.
Now you see how many Inferno capes are out there, and I maintain that probably half of the Inferno capes out there have been bought, probably more than that. But yeah, it's just nuts to see like the community perception of that. I really hope that whatever comes after Raids 3 is something more in line with Inferno. Maybe not wave based, but just something to that initial difficulty that just blows people's minds.
The crazy thing is I mean, even the combat. What are your thoughts on the combat achievements? All of them.
I like them. I think it. I think the initial release was like, okay, yeah, this is gonna add a lot of. It's going to open up a lot of grinds to the game that people kind of wrote off, right?
Yeah.
Now, some people see that as unnecessary, obviously. Like, who wants to go back and kill Ober 5 times when they're 126 combat or Seracnus or whatever else? But it does make a lot of old dead content active again. And I'm not against that. I like the added challenges. I think some of the Inferno ones are ridiculous, and I understand that some people can complete them, but I'll be damned if I want to go do a melee cape right now. I've done that on the league, and that was enough for me. But yeah, a lot of it is pretty exciting. Some of it is kind of depressing. Like, you know, just looking at it. Oh yeah, I'm never getting that done.
Yeah.
But
But think
it's
about,
been fun.
yeah. But then again, you think, because I used to think, when I was first watching the Inferno,
Hmm.
I was like, there is no way I will even step into there. It just looks horrible. Looks like hell.
Hmm.
Like, no, like I'm never doing that. And then eventually I just do it. And now I
Yeah.
still think the same thing about the Zook thing, is like, or the Grandmaster challenges for the Zook helmet.
Hmm.
Just like this is stupid. Like this is just like,
One day, and that's kind of the thing though. Like as more gear comes to the game, some of those things might be a little bit easier.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I
So
feel like it's also just like mindset. Obviously, there isn't for me, like I'm not going for Grandmaster right now because just like there's not enough incentive. Just like
mhm.
a simple helmet is just not worth it. I really wanted the elite one, just because of all the like clue perks and stuff. But like
Yeah,
if they came out with like a brand new cape or something, obviously I feel like the majority of the community would have hated that if something like just best in slot came out. But if something did come out, I would have to push myself for it, and so I would do it. And it's just one of those things where it's like you never think you can do it, and then all of a sudden you do it. Just like any
yeah.
person that's ever gotten their infernal cape, it's like, wow, okay, I can
Yeah,
do
that
this.
was me as well. I feel you there. Like I think it took me almost 2 years to muster the courage to get back into the Inferno after the release to actually get it done. And then it only took me like 5 days to get it, so I don't know what I put it off for so long.
Yeah, it's nuts how like you just kind of put yourself in there. You're like, okay, like wow, this actually. I mean, because you were doing it on day of release, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Actually, I got to triple jets on the day of release.
really, and you just
Yeah.
put it off.
Yeah.
That's
But
insane.
I also took my time. I milked the shit out of the waves to get SGS heals in. Like
Yeah,
I
still
think I
though.
hit triple jets on my first or second run. I think it was probably the second one.
That's insane,
Um,
actually.
but while everyone like I would actually kick back and kind of chill and talk to people and let my spec bar heal all the way back up because I wanted all the potions that I could get to give myself the best chance. Like week of release.
Yeah.
And I knew at that time when like the first time I got to Zuck was like I don't know 5 days into it or something. I knew at that time like there's literally no way I'm getting this done anytime soon. Like I was getting to Zuck with like one brew and like
Mm,
no restores, so I was burning all my supplies on the way there. So like I wrote it off at that time as a grind that I just was not ready for. But it took me a couple years of, or like a year and a half of actually like getting better at the game and kind of working up the courage. I think the worst part about Inferno to me is how demotivating it is to die on a later wave.
yeah.
Like I can do a cape. I've done a few of them. I can do a cape, no problem. I did my first one with an ACB, but still today, even with a T-bow, even on slay task, I still don't want to fucking go in because I don't want the demotivating,
Yep.
mindset of, oh shit, here comes wave 63. I've got to get through this, and if I die on it, it's going to piss me off, and I'm not gonna want to play the game for the rest of the day.
Yep.
So I just
I feel like I'm the exact same as you.
yeah,
I almost
that's
just
kind of
like see a
that's
Zook
how I
task
get.
and I'm like, I'm just gonna skip this. Like,
Yeah,
can't be asked. Yeah.
but at least it's one of those grinds that hopefully you only need to do once, and then if you want to do it more past that, or if you want to get a big combat achievement thing, you gotta work for it a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm happy that wait, I might need to look back at this. The combat achievements don't require a no pillar, do they?
Uh, I don't think so. I think it's just made. Okay. I don't think it's no
It's
pillar.
it's like it's
Let
like
me.
don't use a mage weapon or don't use a T-bow or don't use
Yeah.
other things. I don't think there's a no pillar,
Yeah. I don't think there's
but
no pillar. I think there's no. Yeah. No mage. Like you can't freeze the blobs.
yeah,
Stuff like that. Okay.
which you can get by with using
Doing a
chins, I
no.
guess.
See, I was thinking like there would be no pillars and there would be these other
Yeah,
crazy things.
yeah.
But they're all
I'm
like,
I'm happy to see that there's not those.
yeah, like it's just like on the verge of, okay, this is still doable, but this is like gonna be torture doing it. But I know I
Mhm.
could probably do it over, a bunch of attempts. Are you able to do all those on task, by the way? Do you just like wait for a task? Or
Am I able to do those types of
like
shit? I mean,
are those able to be
I'm
done
not
on
going to be
task?
doing them. Oh, I would imagine so.
Okay. So that's
I
just
don't think there's a. I'm actually I can check real quick, but I don't think there's one that says you have to do it off task.
okay. That's good. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in the next few months they're gonna come out with new perks. That's just my feeling. I just feel like they're gonna come out with new perks for the Grandmaster and Master, and so I'll.
I think so too. I think some. I mean, imagine, getting all of that stuff done, all of the masters, all of the grandmasters. And what do you get from it? Oh, you only have to get 30 goblin kills now instead of 40 to go into the Bandos room. Like, that's a little depressing, isn't it?
The helmet is badass though. I
The
can't
helmet's
lie.
badass. No, absolutely. And I'm jealous that I'm never going to get this thing. But
Yeah, no, I feel kind of the same.
it is underwhelming. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right. They can't release a best in slot item with it because it's kind of accessible to so few players in the game, at
Yeah.
least before people start selling it, which is going to happen.
Yeah.
But it should have more to it than what there is. The perks are not appealing enough.
Yeah, I agree. It's just I'm not pushed enough to do it. Infernal Cape was always one of those things. It was like, I'm losing a max hit. Like I look like a pleb. I gotta get this thing. So
I had the idea to get at least like the elites done on my hardcore, and then I realized you need like 150, I think is what it is. Like Vedion kills, Venenatus kills Callisto. Like Callisto and Venenatus, that's doable. But you get into Vedion on a hardcore, it's the scariest thing I've ever
and
experienced.
especially now, because now it's just packed with PKers because of
absolutely. But like even before that, like unless you're bringing a team with you to protect you, like every kill that I've ever done there has had at least 2 people log on.
Yeah.
No,
Vedion's
and then
horrible.
on top of that, there's Wilderness Scout bots. And then on top of that, I don't know if you knew this, there's a hardcore Twitter page specifically for scouting hardcore Ironman kill counts at wilderness bosses.
I've seen that. Oh yeah, God.
That like it will tweet every single like this kill count on the high scores went from 141 to 142 and was last updated 2 minutes and 32 seconds ago. Like shit.
Yeah, for real. So what do you I guess looking at the future of the game for you, do you always okay, well actually I want to ask this first. Group Ironman's coming out. Thoughts on it? Or do you plan to do it?
I'm going to be doing it. I've got my team together for it.
Are you able to leak?
I'll leak it for you. Yeah, so initially, actually for about 3 years now, myself, MMORPG, Mr. Mammal, and Sick Nerd had all intended to do it together. And obviously, Sick Nerd stopped playing old school.
Yeah.
And he's been away from the game for a while. And I've asked him a couple times since then, hey, when group comes out, are you still going to be interested? And we actually talked about it about a week ago. And he said, I'm not really sure what my mindset's going to be at the time. So I want you guys to be able to plan. So go ahead and drop me from the group so you can get something together because I don't want to hold you guys back.
Yeah.
Which, is sad because I would have loved to play with him. I love the guy.
Yeah.
But he still may end up playing group. He said he may do it with another team if he decides to. But my team, our team is going to be myself, Mr. Mammal, MMORPG-RS, and Roydy.
Hell yeah.
And we're going to do a 4-man group. And right now we're considering leaning towards unofficial hardcoring it. Where if one of us dies, because I don't believe they're going to be releasing a hardcore mode initially with the release of group. I think it's something they'll do eventually, but everything that they've said so far kind of leans to not having it as an initial release.
Yeah.
I think what we plan to do right now, we might change our minds, or we've at least discussed this. If one of us dies, that person is removed from the group and they have to come back in on a new account. We're going to kick them from the group and they can come back in on a fresh account.
I was going to say, just like you're gone, man. Okay,
yeah. So like, I mean, that's not as much of a problem until you consider like, what if it's the guy that we gave all of our herbs to, to train herblore for the whole team? That could end up really sucking. So like, I'm kind of on the fence. Is it a good idea or not? It would be really fun for content, but it would also be very demotivating for like, not just the person that dies, but all of the group. If like we're set back so far because we do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll end up doing it or not, but we're definitely playing group together. And I think all of us intend to, take a break for the league when that's released, because this is going to be like mid-fall or late fall. Let's actually let me take a step back. Jagex says that this is going to be in the fall sometime. They also said that the account security blog was going to be somewhere around 2 years ago, and they announced Group Ironman officially 2 years ago. So I'm not getting my hopes up too much. I just don't want to be set up for disappointment. But we're going to hope that it comes out in the fall. So if that's the case, we'll take a break for the league because I'll play the league. Curtis will, Jordan will. I don't know if Reddy's going to end up playing the league. I'm sorry, I don't know if everyone knows him by Connor, but I don't know if Reddy's going to end up playing the league. I don't think he played much of the last one, if at all. But we'll play that. We'll probably take a break for Raids 3, and then we'll get back on the group. Maybe what we talked about was we would reassess at the time when kind of like Raids 3 hits. We'll reassess what else we want to do on group. I don't know what our entire like overall goal is going to be, or if we're going to have a stopping point. But yes, we are going to be playing.
Okay. Would you, like, in an optimal situation, would you like to have Group Ironman be your main like account, or is that just something that you don't feel like would ever happen, that you would eventually just fall back on like hardcore?
I don't know if it would happen. I don't think most people in the group would lean on that. I mean, obviously Curtis is extremely into playing as Ironman. He's played almost solely Ironman since the release, right? Rorty and well, Jordan hops over to a lot of different stuff. Rorty and I, we basically exclusively play hardcore nowadays. So I don't expect that would be the way it is, because as more content comes out, Curtis is absolutely going to want to get back to the Ironman for that stuff. And myself and Rory, we're going to want to do hardcore stuff. I know that for sure. Jordan, I think he would probably play group nonstop if everyone was interested in it, but also he does a lot for YouTube with his other series. So, with his hardcore and his Ironman. So he'd kind of hop around as well. So I don't see it being a long-term thing. And I think that's probably going to be the case for most people. And I just think that's because it's hard to keep everyone, it's hard enough to keep yourself interested in one account or one game mode for long enough. It's a whole nother factor to keep, between 2 and 5 people interested in the same thing. So there will definitely be a few that do it long-term like that. I think more likely we'll end up doing it with that group. And if that group ends up tiring out, if I go back to group one day, it'll be with another team, and maybe we'll do something different or some specific challenge or something like that.
So I'm curious. I'm a little disappointed, but I totally understand where they're coming from, where they say Group Ironmen don't need to raid with members of their group. They could just go out
I didn't like that. I wish it would be restricted to the group.
I think so too.
Yeah, and to me that doesn't seem like a hard ask. At least with Cox, you can even solo Cox, right? I mean, you could solo theater as well, but kind of harder. But I wish that there was that kind of like an integrity thing, like you were just restricted to do it with your group. I think their worry is just not everyone's that good at the game. Not everyone, even with a 3 or more 4-man team, all the groups are out there. They're not going to be able to go run theater, or they're not going to be able to go run chamber. So I think they're worried about more of the more casual player.
Absolutely.
With this one, like maybe they have one person that can handle doing theater if they're with a good team, so they can kind of feed the rest of the group gear. But I just don't think that's how the group should be done. I think my team may be interested in just doing Cox together and doing, theater together and stuff like that. We might unofficially do it that way. And I think a lot of teams might follow the same suit.
Yeah. I think that would be the best way to do it as a content creator standpoint.
Yeah.
I'm just sad that they're not doing that. And I don't think so. I don't even know if they covered it, but what's happening with the POH? Does everyone have their own POH and you can't enter each other's?
I think so what they talked about doing was combining it, actually giving one POH, I believe. I don't know if I know that they want to give access to each other's POH. They even want to do that with regular Ironman mode, where
That's
your
amazing.
friends can come visit. I know they mentioned that. So since they mentioned that their perspective must be, in my opinion, that they want to have that able for group. They want to have that ability for group. So I think if they can swing it, the best way for them to do group is make it to where, if say I am the builder for our group, I'm the constructor. Everyone can feed me supplies. I can build all the ornate stuff in my house, and everyone can use that. I don't know if they'll end up doing it, but I think that's the best way to handle it.
Yeah. I would absolutely just be so thrilled. I don't even think their engine could even handle this, but just sharing a POH with all of your friends, and then running corp together, where you just see each other go to the pools.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, being able to go into your teammates or your group's house, when whoever's offline.
That would be
I think it would be great. I don't know how they're going to solve it, because I don't think that's an easy thing for them to do.
Absolutely not.
The way that instances currently work, because that's kind of how that would work out, But we'll see. I don't know. That's an interesting one. Group's going to be fun though. I think what they need to do is kind of similar to what they did with Hardcore Ironman. I don't know if you remember this, but they had the Hardcore First Achievements page.
Yeah.
So they need to kind of build one of those for group as well and kind of keep track of that, because
Oh
that's
yeah.
I think that's gonna be something that really pushes group activity quite hard.
Yeah.
And that's something that eventually fell off. They didn't really do a good job updating after like the first 6
Yeah.
months.
I didn't
But
even know how to find that page without it
yeah,
just already being.
because there's not a link to it. Like
Yeah.
you just have to you either be able to Google it or already know like what the web address is. But
Yeah.
there's not an easy way to get to it. They linked it in the first the first actual news post of Hardcore Release, and I don't think they ever linked it again after that.
Yeah, that was kind of silly. I just remember getting a Dragon Warhammer first. I was like, "Where's my Where's my first Dragon Warhammer?"
Exactly.
And then everyone was like, "Oh, that's not a real boss." I'm like, "God damn it!"
That should have been one.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a question I want to ask you, just because you have played every single game mode, basically, and plan to play them. You've played all the leagues, deadman modes, everything. So, if you could come out with your own mode, like, is there something that you would just love to see? Like Hardcore Ultimate or anything similar?
Yeah,
to
actually, I would like to see an extreme hardcore type. I don't know what you would call it. Extreme hardcore seems kind of lame, but a hardcore Ironman mode where everything is a dangerous death, including a Chambers of Xeric death, a Barb Assault death, a Fight Cave, an Inferno death, anything like that. Any little bitty death. There's no safe deaths in the game. That's what I would like to see, because I mean, even doing something like Chambers, it completely changes Chambers. Changes Chambers. Did I say that right? Yeah. I mean, think the Vespula method where you're redemptioning. You know, that becomes a very, very like scary method at that point.
Oh yeah.
You know, doing solo no preps, you know, with unoptimal setups becomes very difficult because there's no escape from Chambers. There's no teleport out. An Infernal Cape would make people go, holy shit, that guy got that, you know, without ever dying on any way. That would be a fun game mode for me to see. I don't think they'd ever release it, but that's the first thing that comes to mind for me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just think because you and me both, I think we just loved the release of Hardcore.
Oh, absolutely. Man.
I was camped in your stream at the beginning of Hardcore, like 4 a.m. that day. And
the funniest things ever happened on that release. Oh my god.
I just remember, oh my god, like people were going for like the fastest or like the first ever hardcore death and stuff, and just dying to like a man or whatever.
Yep. I think the guy that got that ended up dying to a jail guard or something. Or actually, someone else might have beat it because he logged on a PvP server and had his buddy kill him.
Okay.
But no, that first day. Okay, check this out. Some of the funniest things I remember happening from the first day of Hardcore Release, which I made a CC on that day of only hardcores. And it was just constantly like kicking people out of the CC that died, so it was hilarious. But there was a guy, I can't make this up. There was a guy that died while he was thieving in Artie intentionally, so he could get his Ren energy back and get a quicker teleport to Lumbridge. And it didn't click to him that would cost his hardcore status, intentionally dying to get to Lumbridge. And then there was another guy that was doing the Dwarf Cannon quest that he got down to 2 HP because he was fixing the railings. And he thought the railings could only hit 1 damage, and it hit him a 2, and he died from the Dwarf Cannon quest, of all things. Like, that day, the content of people dying the most, like, ridiculous ways was so hilarious, man.
I just remember the guy getting off the magic carpet, just getting hit insta 10.
Yeah. Rendwell? Who was that? No, not Rendwell. It was the first 99 on a hardcore. And he's a well-known Ultimate Ironman, or was at the time.
Okay.
But yeah, so he knew the game well enough to know that should be. He should have known that could happen.
You just stop thinking, kind of like you just.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Yeah, that was a great. That was the most fun I've ever had in this game. Was just first couple months of hardcore. So much fun.
Oh, do you remember the random event death, the beekeeper?
No. Did somebody?
I'll tell you about this. There's a video of this on YouTube. You can actually find it if you search like Beekeeper Hardcore Ironman or something like that. But so this guy, the Beekeeper random event, at least then, it might not be anymore, but then it was broken. You could almost never fix it, even if you kind of lined up everything seemingly perfect, right? So he got this random event and he got it wrong. He's 10 HP on his hardcore. He gets teleported to the coal trucks north of Sears, right? Northwest of Sears. And when you fail that random event, apparently it smites all of your Ren energy. You're at 0 Ren. So he had no food on him. he had 0 run, and it teleported him into a bat. So this bat's just smacking him. And he's trying to run away, but he has no run energy. He ends up getting like 4 hit by this bat for his hardcore status.
Oh my god!
Because of this broken random event. I miss that release so much. That was probably my most fun release on Old School. The initial Deadman mode, Inferno Release, and day 1 of Hardcore Ironman were just amazing.
Yeah, it's just so much fun. It was really disappointing to see Wooks die.
Yes, it was. Oh, but it was amazing because Wooks died while he was memeing.
Yeah. Yep. I always, so I mentioned this in one of my streams like last week or something about how let me try to phrase this correctly. Exact is what we wanted Wooks to be as a hardcore, like hardcore wise. Wooks is what we always wanted Wooks to do, like the impossible, and now we have Exact that has accomplished basically just crazy stuff on a hardcore.
I saw he just finished full Inquisitor armor.
Yeah.
On his 1 defense hardcore doing Kasani. Like, do you realize how nuts that is?
That is just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he is an actual beast. I cannot believe he hasn't died yet. Hasn't he done like 1,000 QBs?
But, yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Just, that is kind of like he is the gold standard of hardcore.
Yep.
You ever heard about what is this? This is gonna completely go off to a different subject, but I'm gonna run the podcast real quick. Have you ever heard of Garp?
Garp, no.
Okay, I want you to look this account up. GARP.
Okay.
Because this account is going to blow your mind. Now, certain things aren't on the high scores because of his stats. He's like, I don't know, 40 attack, maybe 50 attack. He's a 1 defense. But he's got all these boss kill counts, right? He's got 9,700 Zoras. He's got, let's look at some of the ridiculous ones. 619 Theater of Blood, 6,900 KBD, 10K Cowfight Queen.
Oh, yep.
No.
I think I've
10K Corp, 1,000 challenge mode raids. This guy is, this is a crazy one. 3,400 Dagonoth Prime kills. He's 28 prayer, I think. He doesn't have overheads.
Oh my god.
So when you look at some of these things like 2,700 Hydras, 2,700 Cerberus, a combined 8,000 or 9,000 DK kills. Like, it's just some of these things are just insane to think of how he did. 10K Zoras. How do you do 10K Zoras with no overheads?
I'm just looking at like just even grotesques. Just like he's 1 defense and 1, or I guess he just doesn't have overheads.
Just no overheads. Yeah, it's just like I can't imagine. Like how? This account is one of the hardest things for me to fathom. So you think about Exact's achievements on a hardcore. This guy's up there as well with the kind of stuff that he's done. I think. Yeah, because it's just a pretty nutty account.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's actually disgusting. I always kind of wish, and I know it probably would have broke the Inferno or whatever, but I wish you could have used purple sweets in the Inferno.
Yeah. So we're actually the reason that you can't do that. Sorry.
Wait, what? Why?
Yeah. So before Inferno came out, it came out in like June or something that year. Yep. In like either April or May, Jagex flew a lot of 10 content creators, I think, out to Jagex HQ to test the Inferno. Yeah. And they had some restrictions on this test run, but it was myself, it was like a friend, I think maybe Alfie, Bodie, I don't think Wooks was there, Curtis, maybe Mr. Mammal, maybe Skidler, Skill Specs, there were some of these guys there, right? Yeah. And I think there was Dead Wilson as well, but they had us test the Inferno. They gave us 30 minutes to go in as many times as we wanted. We had kind of like a chest outside that we could gear up with whatever we wanted. And we were able to go in the room and, we got 30 minutes total of just trying things. So everyone only got to like wave, I don't know, 20 during that time. Yeah. Just to kind of get an idea of what it looked like. We kind of understood what the structure was, how it kind of followed fight caves. And, I don't even think anyone got to a major during that, but maybe they did. Then we got to go back outside and we got to gear up for one final attempt. So whatever we wanted to bring. So everyone's in like, there's no Justy. So everyone's in like Armadillo and, some people bring Ancestral top and bottom and, Tebow and Ellie and Kodai and everyone had like a 1 million stack of purple sweets. Because what we were doing is we'd go in and, before you finish off every wave, you just sit behind the pillar and do purple sweet all the way back up. Yep. And then we got one attempt. Whatever you died on, that was it. You couldn't try Inferno anymore after that. They were stopping it there. So that's all we got to, because they didn't want us to, be too spoiled on it, right? They didn't want us to know everything about it. We didn't initially know that there was triple jads or stuff like that. So the reason that they decided to not allow purple sweets is because a lot of us were able to kind of milk some of the waves just sitting behind the pillar and healing up after every single time. And I think in that test attempt, I got to the furthest wave out of everyone, which was like 62 or something like that. But it took me like 3 hours or something to get there, and it was just a lot of purple sweet milking. And obviously, you can do the SGS milk kind of the same way. But they decided at that time that it was going to be too easy for too many people if they allowed purple sweets in. So that's when they decided to scratch purple sweets.
Interesting.
Maybe they already thought about it before that, but actually seeing it all in practice by us, they're like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I just...
Sorry, guys.
I guess I wonder for, like, exact sake. Like, something where... How far could you really take it? Like, could you do...
He can do a 30.
Like, I'm just thinking, like, couldn't you just not have any prayer, like, at all, if you just planned it out perfectly? Like,
I mean, if you planned it perfectly, technically you would be able to tick eat pretty much anything that would come at you, right?
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, you might need to bring, like...
You might need to scout some waves.
Yeah, like, I don't know how it would work, but I just feel like there would be so much, like, more potential for tick eating. Like, I don't know, like...
Yeah, maybe. It could change, the meta a good bit from what it is now.
Yeah. But I do understand the whole milking thing. I know purple sweets would be... First of all, purple sweets are crazy expensive right now. I think they're like 8K or something each.
Honestly, Jagex should allow them in Inferno at this point.
I think it would be
really
great.
Should.
Yeah.
I mean, then again, I feel a little bit differently about this than a lot of people do. I also think that they should just allow people to buy capes from other people at this point. It's like, what, almost 3 years? Maybe more than 3 years since Inferno release. And people are buying capes anyways, and I bet you they don't even catch half of them.
They need to make a stance on it, like, either way, because, like, yeah, I know their stance is, like, you can't buy it, but for me, I don't care which way it goes. Like, either make it legal or make it illegal. Yeah, exactly.
But they can't enforce it. That's the problem. If they could enforce it, it makes sense to not allow it. I get that.
Exactly.
But they can't enforce it, and they won't, because if they could, it would take way too many man hours.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, just go to a PvP world and see all these, like, level 70, 80 combat accounts. These motherfuckers they can't, listen, some of these guys that have Infernal capes still 4-spec DDS. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you just can't convince me that they're the ones that went and got that done on a one defense account, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, really, since it's my opinion, at least, that they can't enforce buying and selling capes properly, like at least with 90% success rate, I think they should just allow it. Honestly.
They have to, because it's just so dumb. It was
exclusive for the first few years, or for the first year.
Yep.
After the first year, a ton of capes were bought and sold. And even now, so much further removed from that, a ton, like absolute ton of them are, right?
Yep.
Like, I think they just need to allow it at this point.
Especially, like, okay, have they even made a stance on combat achievement buying?
Like, no, but it's the same thing. I mean,
like are they going to ban somebody for doing, like, a different, like, let's just say you have got your own Infernal cape legally. Is it so now is just everything
okay, so technically though they did make a official stance against account services sometime in the last year, didn't they? They don't allow it anymore.
Yeah,
it still goes on, like, but I think they did, make a stance against that. But yeah, I mean, there are going to be account service, things for this as well.
Yeah, it's just such a, it's a mess. I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they try their best to enforce it. Obviously, they're not putting any money into it, really. They're just whatever they have already. They're just trying to do their best with what they have. But
I mean, I don't blame them. It's almost impossible to properly enforce. But if you can't properly enforce it, why let some people get away with it and others not, right?
Yeah. No, I am with you there. I don't, like, literally, I wouldn't even care if somebody bought a cape. It's like, I like, cool. Like, it's just an Infernal cape at this point. It's like,
I like to call people out for it, but I don't really care about it,
Yeah.
I mean, but it's really only because we're 3 years removed from it.
Yeah.
My opinion was not the same 2 years ago.
Yeah. No, I think I'm on the same page with you. I don't really focus on it too much. I don't do Inferno and stuff.
It doesn't affect me.
Exactly. All right. Champions Cape says, "What inspired you to do your first charity stream? How did it
Hmm.
lead to killing your hardcore for a good cause? Any future plans? I'm assuming with charities." And then he also says, "Thanks for giving back in such a big way. We appreciate all the hard work you do in life and gaming."
Yeah, so I mean, my first charity stream was years and years ago. I think the first one I did was for Wounded Warrior Project, and obviously that one had some ties with my past life, and that one just meant a lot for me. Um, and I really wanted to do that just because one, my connection with the military,
Yeah.
and two, because I was in a position where like I could you know be successful in raising money for a good cause. Um, from there, I took it to Toys for Tots. We did I think I did a 12-hour stream for Toys for Tots as my second charity stream, where we raised about $11,000 and literally went to a Toys R Us and purchased $11,000 of toys,
Wow.
and then donated that on the spot to Toys for Tots. So I made a video about this years ago, but it was like a 5-hour shopping spree. And I think I forget the number, but donated somewhere around like 400 something toys. It was pretty amazing. That's an organization that I worked with when I was in the military. Again, so just kind of that tie there, and I just wanted to do more on that note since I was in a position where I could do more.
Yeah.
From there, I mean, I've done some other ones, but now I do the St. Jude Children's Hospital one with GCX event, which was formerly Guardian Con. And I've done that the last 2 summers, and obviously the one that he's talking about here, the one that I killed off my last hardcore with last year. I got into this one because the guys that run it, Professor Broman, and some of the guys at Rare Drop Co. We were all managed by the same management company together, OPG formerly. And I met those guys through that, did some events with them, and started talking, with them at the time of, hey, I know you guys do this charity event every summer. I'd love to get involved with it. If you get a space for it, message me. And they did last year and this year. So I was very happy to take part in that. The idea to kill off my hardcore if we hit that 50K goal was not one that I actually initially planned. I think I actually came up with that within like a week of doing the event. And I didn't expect it to be hit. I kind of thought at the time, well, I may be able to raise about $30,000. So I made some forfeits along the way for that specific event. But I thought there was a small chance that we could raise the 50K to kill off the hardcore. But, even if we couldn't, I wanted that to be there just to try to push as much support to this charity as I could, because
Yeah.
I mean, St. Jude Children's Hospital is a massive, massive, deal, and they do a lot of fantastic work with children's cancer research, and they share everything that they do with the rest of the world. All their research, they don't keep any of it for themselves. They just want to help people, right?
Yep.
And then past that, they don't charge anyone. They don't charge their patients. They don't charge the families of their patients for traveling, for lodge, for treatment, for anything. So I just really wanted to help on that one and influence it as best as I could. And I found, I figured that the best way for me to push as much support for this as I could was to make a massive, forfeit. And that's what I came up with. As far as, do I have any plans to do any future ones? I'd like to be a part of this event every year. So I plan to do at least one charity event a year, and I plan for it to be this one.
That's awesome. So, what was the difference between dying at Corp and then suiciding a different hardcore? What were the differences of feelings?
I didn't have that same sinking feeling. You remember that one I talked about earlier
Yeah.
about, just kind of like the worst feeling in the world after losing the hardcore status. When I suicided at Corp the second time, or rather the first time, I actually intentionally died there. One, it was only at Corp because that's what the top donor chose. I gave the person that donated the most the choice to choose wherever I died, and he chose Corp. After he chose, he actually initially asked me to do Theater of Blood until I died, but I wanted it. I only had a 4-hour block,
Yeah.
and I wanted it to be during that block. So he then chose Corp. But it it wasn't hard that time. It was still a little bit demotivating to start a new hardcore and start over from scratch, but I didn't have any of that kind of like depressed feeling throughout it because,
Yeah.
I mean, there a better way to go on hardcore? Probably not. I'll never have a hardcore that kind of hits the same way when I die,
Yeah.
That one truly felt good. And it felt like it was for something because it was.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Getting close to the end here, but I want to cover a
Sure.
few more. Iron Vatty, he just asks, I'm not sure. I know of Reckful, but he just asks, can you talk about the impact that Reckful had on your streaming career? How you've been after a year after his death, etc. So all
Sure.
I know is that he had struggled with mental health. I didn't ever like watch a stream or anything, but
Mm-hmm.
he did commit suicide, I think, like a year ago or something, or
Yeah,
maybe,
last summer.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so Byron was probably the first reason that I ended up getting into the Twitch world at all. He is the first person I watched on Twitch. Like I've mentioned a few times, I watched a lot of WoW before I started streaming. I played a lot of WoW before I started streaming, so that was kind of the community that I was in and that I would watch. Byron, Vajira, Soda Pop, and all those guys. And I would say probably 80% of the time that I was on Twitch for my first year on Twitch, which is basically the year preceding me starting streaming in 2013, he is who I would watch. So he had a lot to do with, kind of my inspiration to start streaming. Obviously, my brother kind of got everything together for me and kind of pushed me towards it.
Yeah.
But when I started streaming, I would take a lot of the things that I would, do on stream and I would really kind of build it off of what he did. He was kind of like my inspiration, my building blocks, my foundation of how I wanted my stream to kind of handle. So I would watch his stream, and I would stream myself in a similar style to what he did, at least in my early years. When I went to TwitchCon in, I want to say 2018, I actually got the chance to meet him in person. Um, and Old School RuneScape hosted an event, an open bar party for, it was when they were releasing mobile. Actually, I guess this was 2017 because I think all the things that they handed out, said winter 2017, which is the meme nowadays. But they they were pushing the mobile release, so they hosted some different events, and Reckful and some of his friends came to this, and I kind of intercepted him, and I told him about how he got me into streaming, and how much I appreciated him for that, and how much he meant to me as kind of a big influence, kind of getting me to where I am now, even though he didn't know it.
Yeah.
And there's a video that you can search on Twitter if you type like @Reckful @Faux_freedom, you can probably find this video of like me talking to him about this, because I actually told him it the first time and he was kind of moved by it, and he asked if I could repeat everything so he could record it. But yeah, he meant a lot to me, and that was a hard thing to see last summer when that happened. And that was kind of, I know he had those mental health struggles, for years and years, and he lost a brother, a similar way, and it was extremely sad to see for myself and for a lot of the community, and a lot of people who he meant a lot to, because I think he did mean a lot to a lot of people. He did, he did sessions, where he would share his mental health, struggles and journeys, and I think he had some different streams with Dr. T, and he just I think he just truly wanted to, help other people get through that kind of stuff, and it's sad to see that that he went the way that he did.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know of him. I mean, I had heard of him and stuff, but
Mhm.
yeah, I didn't understand how big of a streamer he was. Like, I honestly didn't until I like saw the news last summer.
Really, if I could put it anyway, he was one of the true pioneers on Twitch, that made it what it is today. Um, I think he kind of connected with a lot of people in that sense.
Yeah. Damn, it's really sad to hear. And I know we were talking about mental health on the last Sae Bae Cast we had. And I know Crippled Scape from the RS section also passed away. But just really sad. It makes you feel like life is just so like, fragile,
Short.
And short. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Really. It's never hard, or it's never an easy thing to deal with in any sense for the person going through it, or for those that are close to them. And I don't really know what to say on the subject. I'm certainly not an expert here. But if you need help is out there for anyone that needs to hear it.
Okay. We're gonna kind of wrap things up. So I want to ask you a few topics, just a few little things that I usually ask my guests. And one of those is, who are the most inspiring content creators for you? Obviously Reckful was one. Well, who are some others that like you would like to give a shout out to?
There's a ton, and I would go on forever if I mentioned them all. So I'll name one outside of Reckful, and I think this is going to be obvious to a lot of people because I'm pretty open about this. But Bodhi, he's hands down the person in the old school community that has done the most for other content creators, even if you guys don't see it. He is what I would say is a lot of the sole reason of a lot of creators building up. He's supported every single person outside of his own stream more than anyone else I can think of. And that is, from, completely providing streamers with, full audio sets to improve their stream quality, to just, he's very selfless, and, some people don't see it because, sometimes he has a persona on stream, that is, quick to your band and all the rest, and people meme about that, but he is entirely selfless. A lot of times when he's live, he'll tell you, hey, I'm not doing anything exciting today. Go watch Faux, or go watch, Curtis or Mr. Mammal or someone else that's doing really exciting content. He'll always shout you out. Yep. There's a lot of stuff that he does, outside of streaming. Obviously, he had years and years of working with Macmillan Cancer Research, kind of doing everything that he could to support there and with their charitable efforts. But he's been a huge part of, why a lot of us are still here today. I think if it wasn't for him, I think the old school section would look entirely different. So that's the big one for me. I used to say this years ago, that it was kind of weird for me to have a role model that was so much younger than me. But that's kind of who Adam is to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's someone that I definitely look up to, and he's someone to who I should aspire to be like.
That's awesome.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, no, definitely like a pillar of the RS community and Twitch community. And
absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to, I've never been to a Runefest, but hopefully when all the, COVID restrictions and stuff kind of get lessened, hopefully we'll have a Runefest soon.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope they'll do one next year. There's not going to be one this year for sure.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
I hope they get one going next year.
Because that's something I haven't experienced.
They're so much fun, man.
Yeah, and you got to go to. I remember you talking about your experience at the Dead Man Mode Mansions, jacking a full Red Bull fridge and everything.
Oh, that was so. I literally drank probably 20 to 25 Red Bulls within like 5 days. That was not healthy for me. It was so amazing.
Fucked.
I'll never do that again. It was awesome. But yeah, that event was so much fun. Anything that Jagex puts together has always been pretty top tier in terms of like bringing the content creators out.
That's awesome.
But Runefest itself is it's such a unique experience, man. I usually go to Runefest and TwitchCon each year, and Runefest is by far my favorite. It doesn't even come close to what TwitchCon is for me, which TwitchCon is massive. There's 35,000 people that go there. But Runefest, I don't ever have any downtime at Runefest. It's constantly, talking to people or meeting someone new, or just, hanging out with some of the content creators. And it's just so much fun. I think everyone, if you get the chance, should get out to that. Whether you want to, meet some people that you grew up with or played the game with, or, content creators that you want to meet. Everyone's always willing to talk. No one there is ever arrogant about anything like that. It's just, we all want to be there and have a good time with people that enjoy the game.
That's so awesome.
That's cool, man.
I really
you need to go.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely planning on it. So especially now, like now that I like the game is such a big part of my life. So
Yeah.
all right, Paul. If there's nothing else, I know we still have a couple topics, but I want to wrap things off on a good note. And but I just want to say, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the cast.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man. This has been fun.
I'm glad you think so. A lot of people, I know you've obviously been streaming for years, and so you're just totally comfortable with like any sort of situation. But I know a lot of people come on feeling really nervous, and then they're like, "That was enjoyable," you know. And time flies.
Maybe you're just an intimidating dude.
I'm the one that's getting intimidated right now. Like I've had a few guests on where I've been like, I've watched you for so much longer than you've ever like known about me, and so it's like the roles have switched almost. But anyway, thank you so much for being on it. I'll have your Twitch in the description, your Twitter, your YouTube. Is there any other thing that you would like to have linked?
No, that's all good, man.
Okay.
Go watch Bodhi or someone.
All right. Paul, thank you so much again. And
hey, thank you, brother.
Next week, guys, we are going to have Rendy on the cast talking about what's I guess what's up in the world of Rendy. So look forward to that, guys. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, we'll catch you next week, guys. Peace.
See you.